No, you're all right. You're coming through loud and clear from the space station.
Marvelous.
Oh, here's Tayters. Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Listen, guys, we've got a special guest. So you gotta behave yourselves this time round.
So we've got to have a bit of decorum this time, all right?
I was listening to your podcasts before. I mean, like while I was puttering around, I was just listening. No, it was good. I was having fun with it.
And you still joined?
Yeah.
No, I thought it was great. I had a really good time listening. I was like, oh man, these guys, they should come over here and watch the movies with us because we're all on the same page. I mean, we try to, be more positive on our own YouTube channel, but deep down we're suffering hard. So I really love your shirt. Is this one of your products?
Yes, it should be. I've got to copyright it, to be fair. I've got to copyright it.
It's fantastic. I love it. And I'm really tempted to call it Dismal Minus from now on because it has been nothing but a disappointment since.
Oh, I don't know. Willow's been a laugh. I've been enjoying Willow, like I say, for all the wrong reasons.
But no, come on, let me do some formal introductions.
Oh, come on, yeah, let's do the intro.
Meet Tayters,
okay,
and Space Lizard. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Yes.
My buddy Randy is at a funeral today, but he would be here if he could.
Is that episode 8 of Willow they're burying, or
the whole series is being slowly put to rest?
Let's kick it off with that because this is how myself and Amber met, and obviously Tayters and Spaces have been with me forever. So, who wants to kick off? I think is going to be in next week's episode of Willow, and maybe do a little summary of what we've seen so far. Are we loving it?
It took me 3 goes to get through that last episode. That was hard.
I thought it was so depressing that this was actually the best episode yet, but at the same time, it was still horrific. It was awful. I mean, so my biggest thing with this show is that, and I'm sure you guys have picked up on it, is that it makes no sense, that there's no logic or consistency. My mom watched the show a couple of times and she's like, I can't even keep up with what's happening because none of it makes any sense. So I know.
Good old mum. Yeah, I don't know what you youngsters are doing nowadays. I don't know what you're up to, but I don't get it. I don't get what you like anymore. Wow.
Honestly, it's like an amalgamation of lots of different clips and ideas that they've nicked from different movies and different shows and just gone, oh, that's a good idea. Let's put that in. That's a good idea. Let's put that in. It just makes no sense.
Even Warwick don't know what's going on.
No, and I'm convinced. So on my channel, I've expressed a theory that I think he really loved the character Willow from the movie. I mean, it was written for him. So George Lucas had an idea for a movie of, starring a bunch of little people, and it was going to be basically a rip off of Lord of the Rings, but, told Star Wars style. Yeah. And he met Warwick when he was 11 on the set of Return of the Jedi and was like, you're it. I want you in this movie. And he rewrote the script tailored specially for him. So I think Warwick really loved it. And when he had the opportunity to do this again, I'm sure he was stoked and got on the set and saw the script and said, oh my God, what is this? I mean, he's not a great actor, but he's not a horrific actor either. If you've seen some of his other stuff, I know some of you guys disagree, but he's not bad. Like, go look at like Leprechaun, look at the Harry Potter movies. I mean, he has little bit roles, but he gets into it. He was not into it at all in this. He was just like,
it's justice.
To be fair, though, I think you hit the nail on the head because most of his best roles that he's ever done, his face has been covered up in prosthetics and stuff like that. So he's learned to act quite well with his voice. Yeah. Whereas whereas his facial expressions, when back in the day, someone must have said to him, "Act with your eyes."
The
And
eyebrow.
he's misinterpreted it as the eyebrows because
Looks a little confused.
yeah, he just looks confused the whole time. Bless him.
There he is. Yay!
He was all
Oh
right.
yeah.
He was all right once upon a time.
Now, hang on. Is that just the head? Is that just the head, or is it still intact?
No, the rest of it. No, the rest of it's waste. It's all. It wasn't waterproof.
Right.
Oh, so my theory is that he's sort of like the kid in the spelling bee who thinks it's all bullshit and he's like, I don't want to be here. KAT, I'm out of here. Like that's Cat. Get out.
We're all taking the piss, but there's a friend of ours, Amber, that Tayters and Space Lizard knows that he's an actor and he's trying to get through and stuff, and he's different agents and etc.
Okay.
And he has actually spoken to not the stars of any of the Dismal Minor shows, but you know, kind of the lesser down ones. But and what he has said is the agents, when they approach the actors, and we're talking about the big boys and girls now.
Okay.
The agents are never given the scripts. They will just say, hello, we want you to play Loki again in a series of 8 episodes. You can't see the scripts because we haven't written them yet, but we're planning to do it because they're planning. But when you hear that story that the agents are saying, there's a lot of dough here, there's nothing else available, do you want to do it? I can kind of half understand why we are seeing. We talked about Warwick not really having a lot of lines in the show named after him.
Yeah.
The lines that he gets given, you know, you should have said poached.
Oh God.
Which was, I thought was superb. Which I thought was superb. But anyway, but aside from that, these actors and actresses, they're not the power that studio is wielding at the moment is meaning, do I do this or do I do a little indie film that some other?
Yeah.
And they want the dough. It's obvious they want the dough. I mean, I'm not making excuses for these people because after you've done the first series, if I was old, what's his name, Loki, what's his name who does that?
Tom Hiddleston.
After the first series, unless he signed on to multi-series, which I doubt, you'd sign on to the first series sight unseen, I would have thought. And Dismal throws a lot of dough at you.
It's actually a bad example with Loki because he's an exec producer on that, so he would have known everything from day one.
So he's Ewan
McGregor.
Obi.
I knew he was going. Yeah.
Well, executive producer though usually just means they've put something at stake for this. It doesn't mean they had anything to do with the creative process.
In the old days, they would have put their money where their mouth is, but not anymore.
Yeah, I think it might be also that they're willing to do this just to keep their face and their shoe kind of always available for these big hit movies because they do make a lot of money off of them.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is what I'm saying, but they're not worried about their acting credibility or anything like that. They're just, I mean, someone like Hiddleston, I mean, I'd always respected him, and I kind of still do. Let's see what Loki series 2 is going to bring. I suppose.
I don't think
this is hard work.
I could do with a bit of walking and talking and get some weight off after Christmas, but fuck me.
See, now this is where it's just like with this Willow series, the walking and talking is a little bit there, but it's mostly standing and looking. It's it's a lot of that background. There's a lot of that image.
It's that shot from behind where they go. This is
it seems to be in every episode.
I know we're in a big rush, but let's stop and talk about our feelings and how dangerous this is going to be.
That's it, our feelings. Yes.
Quickly, stand still.
When they stopped and they were changing that wheel and they're all gathered around looking at the wheel like they've just discovered that the wheel exists, I was like, what is this? Who decided this was a good idea? Are you serious? I mean, it doesn't take a genius to realize that it's a bad idea when you're in a chase to be like, let's all stop and change a tire and have a discussion.
Also, literally, I've got a question because I think I've missed something. I might have fell asleep.
Go on.
Why is her hair changing and now changed fully ginger? What went on
Okay,
there?
I
so
don't
missed something.
want
I
Amber.
caught that. She explained. Remember the flashback where Willow remembers that he, saw her, the little girl, and was at, you should come back with me. She said that he said your hair used to be red. What's going on? And I guess like somebody puts lemon juice and beetle bud in it regularly, so it's been dyed yellow. And now that she's using magic, every time she uses it, it turns a little more red. So now it's all red.
Say, because she had that little streak.
Yeah.
Honestly,
it's remarkable that they came up with a reason for her hair to be turning yellow, because I would have not expected the writers to be capable of thinking, wasn't her hair?
I would have expected that to be almost like a metaphor, like she's back to who she's meant to be. So now that she's back and using magic and stuff, she's now gone back to where she was. She's not in hiding. She's not lost, and she doesn't know. She now knows who she is, which is why I think because the hair changed. But
do you really think the writers are clever enough to make a metaphor?
I'm going to say,
no, exactly.
Me,
and I literally was about to say, fuck me, we're talking about hair color. Like,
hey, listen, this is Willow. That's the best thing that's happened.
It would have worked if they'd have weaved that in the last 3 episodes, and like, because she's a real horrible bitch as well. Suddenly, from the last episode to this, not that there are any likable characters in it, female characters that is, they're all horrible and conceited and arrogant, and there's nothing to bring an audience to them. There's no warmth there at all ever. But with her, suddenly she's uber bitch. So she's going, nah, you're shit, and nah, you.
I wish she had. I really wish she had.
And it's out of nowhere.
You're ginger, and you're mental.
I think I could put up with the series a bit more if they kept the other little fella in there, not killed him off.
Oh yeah, the little child. They should have kept him.
He was my favourite character.
He was brilliant.
Yeah, and
he ended up being worthless though. He was. I liked him as a character, but they did zero with him. He was conversation for Willow, and then he died.
Yeah. It's like Kenneth. We got 5 minutes of Kenneth, and now he's gone.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I think he's going to come back in the next. That's my prediction for the last episode.
Did that remind anybody?
Kenneth will come back and talk about his feelings.
Sorry?
Kenneth will come back and talk about his feelings like everyone else.
Probably.
He'll update people on what he's been doing off screen.
But did anybody get the vibes in that from Neverending Story?
Yeah.
I did. It's like the dragon, the luck dragon. What's his name? I forget his name.
Valcor.
Falcor, you got it spot on.
Yeah, I think that the lovable animal friend is. Randy in our channel described it as it's a trope. It's to capture and represent children, because children don't express themselves well, but you still love them, and so they gave the creature these big, cute little eyes. Yeah. I loved the puppetry. I was like, this is really good practical effects.
Practical effects. I've got.
But the major issue is,
I'd missed that, but
the major issue is this is 16+.
Yeah. So I think they put it in and realized, we can't do much with this. So
get rid of Kenneth.
Make it sick and kick it off. Yeah. It really feels like the writers, this is the rough draft. I mean, I'm an editor. I'm a freelance editor. And this is the kind of thing that you see in a rough draft from somebody who was writing it, one section at a time with huge gaps of time between each writing session, because it's so disjointed from one scene to the next. And, nobody was there to look over the whole thing as a whole and say, okay, there are clearly some things we've started and didn't finish. And there's things we've stuck in that did not need to be there because they did nothing for the story. Nobody has done that. And it got filmed somehow.
See, I had the image of a writer's room. I had the image of a writer's room where they say to a table of writers, right, get your ideas on paper. Everyone throws their paper in the middle and go, that'll do.
that works. That could be it.
But how's it getting past the process? Because that first draft, that rough draft of a script, you go through that process and you do rewrites and you get it to that final draft.
That's what you usually do, but I'm saying they did not. Yeah.
But at that level on Dismal Minus, how have they avoided that process?
Nepotism.
That's what I don't understand. Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody's
Nailed on
got
the head.
a daughter or a niece or a nephew or somebody who's like, I really want to do this Willow show, and I'm a cinematographer or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Somebody. So, somebody got this through without anybody looking at it, because it's the worst. It is actually the worst show I think I've seen on Disney Plus, and that's saying a lot, because Disney
She-Hulk.
Plus is bad. Oh, okay, wait,
She-Hulk.
She-Hulk. But you know what? That at least kind of stayed within its genre. This is, who knows what the hell this is. This is
it's
an
everything.
experiment.
The language, the music, everything is just so disjointed. It just doesn't match anything.
That music,
Like-
that scene, that montage where they're doing their sensual sword fight
Yeah.
together, and then Willow and Eleanor are having a bit of a light show, but they need to do the light show, so it gives it the light to the montage. And then we've got the daytime footage of the mud boat, whatever it's called, with the bird pulling it. It's in daytime. And there's a scene at dusk, there's a scene at night, then they're in a starry twinkly room after all this is going on. But the Ibiza beats, you literally as if like I'm on a beach in Ibiza. They literally found a beach to have their break.
That was great, yeah.
Musical break, like this suddenly.
They ended up in the Maldives. Also, where'd that prince get that magical flute? What's going on with that?
Oh,
He
yeah.
had the flute, and then Randy was like, because when I'm being chased by giant magical creatures that want to kill me, the first thing I'm going to do is take my flute out and point it at them.
I think it's a euphemism.
I always get my flute out.
I think it's a euphemism.
Yeah, when I'm in a panic, at my age, I can get away with it. wave your flute about,
and it just goes off in your hand.
That's it, and use it to the best effect.
Through this entire series, I've had no sense of where they are. I mean, when they came out of the mine and they're on the beach, and I was like, nobody was saying we're really close to the Shattered Sea.
When it comes to exactly. When it comes to like a fantasy, like I'm not comparing it at all, but like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones in the opening scroll, Lord of the Rings with all the maps. Yeah. You've got a sense of that world and where everything's placed and where they are, and you're totally right. You just have no idea where they are at any sort of time, or no sort of imagination in terms of the significance of how far they've traveled on this journey.
Yeah,
there's nothing there.
They really didn't go anywhere on purpose either. I mean, everywhere that they went, it was an accident. They were chased there, or they were kidnapped and dragged there.
Winds falling in, or
I mean, that was the other thing. Like you just said, like you didn't even have a sense of time. That montage apparently spanned weeks
months, possibly. Yeah.
Like, what?
When they said we've been here for weeks, maybe months, I went, "You have? Looks like a few days."
Willow's got a beard.
Yeah, they should have. That was the first thing I said. I was like, why aren't their clothes tattered and their hair longer? Yeah, I mean, that's the easiest way to show that time has gone by. It's just terrible writing. And I know that you guys were you're saying all these actors are terrible. I don't think they're that bad, but their script is so awful. What do you do with it? I mean, how do you deliver some of these lines that make absolutely no sense to what's going on in the story and make it work? I don't think you can. So I'm not convinced that they're bad. I mean, they may be, but I'm not convinced because I haven't seen them in a whole lot of other stuff that was good.
No.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, makes sense.
But here's one question that early on with this series, that what do you think there was ever a point where they'd written this as a Princess Bride, knowing like mockery of the fantasy genre?
They want us to take it seriously when the main couple is, a little lesbian couple. They really want this to be serious.
Sometimes Borman and what he says, I'm laughing and I'm thinking, this would be great if we was in on a joke, a bit like with She-Hulk.
Yeah.
If they let us in on the joke early on and they didn't kind of alienate the kind of, I know it's only tiny, but the tiny core fan base that these characters have. If they'd have done Willow in that vein, this would have been awesome. If they'd have kept to it, but they don't. they're doing it as serious, and they think that one character or one scene is funny, and all it does is like even make it a Lord of the Rings kind of light.
Oh no, my video's doing that thing.
Well,
Why is it doing that?
Space Lizard, what are you doing? Are you interfering with the signal?
No, I'm not.
No.
That's not me. I can figure it out.
There we go. Okay, hopefully it stays.
Yeah,
I've had technical malfunctions lately as well. I don't know what's going on.
All right.
Well, so the thing I think about the Princess Bride comment is, yeah, because they have so many scenes in here where they're obviously trying to take it seriously. Now watch the Princess Bride again. I just recently watched it again, and even the parts that are dramatic, that are when she pushes him off the cliff, like you can die too, if for all I care. She's being sincere with what she's saying, but the things she is saying are so ridiculous that we're still laughing at it. Yes. It's not, it's showing how ridiculous, he is my one true, I died that day. we're all laughing because it's so over the top, and it's being delivered with all this sincerity. But that's the point, is that the writing fit as well as the performances. So but it's this
such a good film.
I mean, when what's the name? It was let's see, I'm back at Willow now. It's when Ballantine, he was the knight who got possessed and was chasing them. He was Jade's mentor or whatever. When he comes and faces Willow's daughter and calls her Peck, and like it gets all dark, and like she's like sitting there, he's just called me a racial slur. And she's like, I don't know where they are, sir. And I was like, they're making a comment here about racial slurs. This is all supposed to be taken very, very seriously. And I mean, Peck was a funny thing that people called, the Nelwyns in the movie. And then later somebody calls Willow a Peck, and it's just like, water off a duck's back. Like, it doesn't bother him at all. And like, if there's not even consistency with the messages that they're trying to show. So it's not Princess Bride. It might have been better, I think, if they did, but they really shouldn't have called this Willow. Because it disappointed everyone. Yeah.
It's got
everybody
to do with Willow to fit well, but they've got to do it. They think there's some kind of hierarchy at the level of the building at Disney, where the top of the shop they say, right, what franchises have we got? What names have we got? What can we bait people with? We need a name. We need a hook, because
it's a pre-existing audience.
Yeah, it's so that. But the first thing they do is they've got an existing fan base, so they pluck an existing franchise. Let's call Willow a franchise. I do think they was a bit desperate with this one, to be fair. But
do we know how long the production was on this?
Oh God, 18 minutes.
I was going to say, was it done in weeks or was it months? So this definitely ain't been years. There hasn't been time spent making this movie.
The first thing they do is annoy the fan base.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. I wouldn't mind if they pandered to anything that Disney did, whether it's Marvel or Star Wars or this or whatever other franchise they're going to ruin. I wouldn't mind if they just pandered to. They just done that. I like a little nostalgia bait. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Sony's Spider-Man film last year. I didn't want to love it. I didn't want to like it, with all the other Spider-Man. But they did it in a decent way. They kind of made it work. And they made it work in a way that you didn't feel abused for your love of the nostalgia bait. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I keep thinking about Maverick was a huge hit here, and it's because they honored the character. He was still a badass in the sky. He wasn't humiliated and looked down on, and you're not a great wizard. What are you going to do? You're a disappearing pig trick. He was still.
Yeah, you can't fly planes anymore.
Yeah, he was still honored as being who he was represented as in the original movie. And I think the first thing that you can do to insult a pre-existing audience is take a character that they love and say he's trash. You were fooled. You thought he was good. He's nothing. That's the best way to insult your audience. And they're doing it all over the place with a lot of these reboots and sequels, and Willow hit the home run.
So just one thing quickly before you move on. So imagine if Dismal Minus did the sequel to Top Gun.
Oh my no.
Oh.
And they hadn't, and Tom Cruise hadn't seen the script.
I don't think he would have signed on. He's actually one of the smarter actors, I think, in Hollywood right now. I mean, he knows he's still a star.
Yeah.
He's not going to ruin it.
Have you all seen that behind the scenes of Mission Impossible 7? That
Yes.
most dangerous stunt?
Yes.
Have you seen that, Amber?
I saw that, yeah.
So my guilty thing was I'd never seen a Mission Impossible film. I'd seen 1 and 2 back in the day, never seen the rest of them, wasn't overly impressed or interested. I must have been in a bad mood that day. I went to cinema to watch, it was Avatar 2 I went to see, and the Mission Impossible trailer came up, and it was behind the scenes how they done that stunt. That is good marketing, because that sent me back, and I ended up watching all 6 of them, and now I'm excited for the 7th one.
Yeah, the thing that makes those impressive is when we get to Avatar 2, I'll talk about this more, but those Mission Impossible movies are all about, let's watch Tom Cruise do some really amazing stunts that he actually does himself.
Yeah.
That's the purpose of those movies.
And run.
Because and run. His famous running sequence in every freaking movie.
But I've always loved the way with Mission Impossible that from the beginning they've used different directors with a completely different, not just a different director in the way that other franchises and have offered sequels to those people, but with a completely different. They come at it like when they've done the second one with John Woo.
Yeah.
And it was like, shit, you've done the first one was of Mission Impossible was one of the old school directors. Anyway, can't remember his name. They offered to a modern director like John Woo, who was just doing all the slow-mo, and he, let's release the doves. I think he'd just done Face Off and things like that. And then the third, and then the fourth, and then the fifth, and I think they even offered one to Jar Jar Abrams, didn't they?
He done number 3. He done the third one.
Did they? Jar Jar Abrams? I love that.
And that was, these silly things just stick. I'm sorry, Amber. They just.
No, they do. Yeah. I like it though. I really appreciate it because it gives me a more memorable way of remembering them, is that, oh yeah, that guy who really kind of ruined stuff.
And his 2 mates that did Rings of Power, from the house of Jar Jar Abrams.
Yeah.
Rings of poo-poo. Anyway, right. So Avatar 2, I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to see it next week, but I'm not too bothered about spoilers. So, and I don't know if anyone else is. I'll put it on now or whatever.
No, I'm not bothered.
Right. Avatar 2, thoughts, please. Anyone who's seen it.
I saw it.
Space, you go first.
Just you go
first.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen it as well.
I'm used to, because I am intrigued, and it's obviously one of the big hits. What I will say, just the intro before you two waffle, let me just do a little intro waffle. It's literally reached that mark now where it's cost a lot of money, but it's breaking even. And I think old Cameron has made the announcement that we've broken even. That's all they want.
It's now. I checked before we came on. It's now number 9 in the highest grossing of all time.
But I've got to admit, I just love the risk-taking element of it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which they did with, I think, was it New Line that did Lord of the Rings trilogy?
Yeah.
Just went, and they put their big brass balls on the line with those 3 films at the time. And you look, and it's dismal.
Yeah.
Or a section of it. Let's call it an offshoot. Let's call it. But anyway,
I would guess that oh my gosh, I'm just James Cameron. I was going to call him John Carpenter. I was like, he's not John Carpenter.
He's on Mars.
James Cameron would not relinquish his control.
Yeah,
because
definitely not.
This is his baby. I mean, how long has he been working on this? This was since Titanic, so I don't think he would let go of the control, and that might have been part of the deals that you basically distribute what I create.
Yeah.
So, but my impression was this, sort of like how Mission Impossible is for showing off Tom Cruise doing interesting stunts. The Avatar franchise is a visual spectacle. It is James Cameron showing off, look at how good my special effects are. And that's the main purpose of his goal for every one of these movies has been, okay, we're going to do motion capture. And that was Avatar 1. For this one, it's motion capture underwater, which has basically been impossible until now. So the story in these movies is nothing more than a vehicle by which a visual spectacle is delivered.
You can show off.
Yeah. And the first movie there was nothing spectacular about the story. I mean, it irritated me that it wasn't a great story as well, but it wasn't a story so horrific that I will never watch it again because the story was terrible. I'll still watch it for the reason that James Cameron wants you to watch it, to see the visual spectacle.
Yeah.
So that's what I felt about the second movie as well. The visual effects were even better than the first one. I didn't think that was possible, but he did it. There was only one shot in the entire movie that I said that didn't look realistic, but everything else I forgot it wasn't real. I think there's a video on YouTube right now. I forgot this isn't real, and I was like, yeah, I'm there.
What shot was this that you didn't think? Sea of Space.
It was literally just a shot of a boat that slams up against a rock and flips over it. And I can't describe what looked unreal about it. Maybe it was the movement or the gravity.
It's like they flip too fast.
Yeah, it might have been something like that.
Yeah.
I just remember thinking, oh, that's right. None of that was the moment where I went, none of this is real. But it's very convincing. Everything else. The pacing is a bit slow. It's a bit long. The characters don't really get fleshed out a whole lot, but I didn't think it was worse than the first movie. I thought it was actually a little better in some ways, but it wasn't a great story. If we're going to talk about writing alone, I have a lot of criticism, but if we're talking about this movie being what it's supposed to be, which is a vehicle to deliver a visual spectacle, it was fine. Because I don't think it'll irritate people so much that they can't watch it. And that's all you need to do is the story non-irritating enough that you can sit there and enjoy what you're looking at? Good, then that mission accomplished.
Well, it seems like it's going damn well, but do you agree, Space Lizard, or?
I agree on so it's a visual spectacle. I think with this one, I was actually, visually, it was amazing. And it was generally, I was in awe of the whole thing, especially when they first go underwater.
Yeah.
That was like a real sort of like special moment. You're like, oh, wow. But actually watching it in 3D, I remember the first one.
Oh, I didn't watch it in 3D.
Okay. So the first one, I remember watching it. And I don't know whether it's because it was one of the first things in 3D, but it blew my mind. And they re-released it back here in 3D in the IMAX cinemas earlier last year. And I went and watched it again. And I was still blown away by how everything's around you and how immersive it was. I watched this one in 3D and I literally felt like I should have just been watching it in 2D. Nothing was as immersive. But in terms of the actual spectacle of it, yeah, it was astonishing. It looked beautiful.
But like you say, with this one, it was the visual spectacle. With the first one, James Cameron actually had that technology made for that movie. That technology was brand new. So, that was his baby. And again, I know he upped the technology stakes another level with this movie. But,
I mean, in terms of the first one and the story behind it, as you said, Amber, it's a visual spectacle. And if you're looking at it at a writing point of view and you really want to analyze it, yes, there's a lot of issues. But the first one, I was so gripped by it that I didn't bother to question it. Yeah. Whereas this one, even when I was watching it in the cinema, there was moments in it when I was going, really? There's certain moments in it that just pulled me straight back out in terms of the story and what they were doing. There's this bit at the end with that spider kid and a decision that he makes. Yeah. And straight away, you're just like, what are you doing? And it just didn't make sense to me. There was the middle bit with the whales. So there's no spoiler alert. There's some whales in this film. They're like.
I do like the subtitles.
Oh, that's.
I laughed out loud in the theater, and I don't. So, my whole family was with me. They were cracking up too, but I think I just like busted out, and I was like, no one else is laughing.
So basically, just to give a bit of context to this, for people that haven't seen it, there's these whales that are being hunted by the humans because they've got this little juice in their brain that can make you live forever, right?
It's
So
like
that-
it's like a liter or something
Yeah,
of
yeah, it's
fluid
like
that
a
comes from this
liquid.
giant house-sized creature.
But these whales are friends with the water people. So the water avatars, they're friends with the water tribes.
Right.
But they're not just friends. You know, like how in the first one they connected with animals. They plugged themselves in and they connected. They put their hand on it, and you could tell they were communicating without being told what they're communicating. You just see it through visuals and emotion. This one, they decide. So the whales come back, and all the water avatars are excited. And they dive in, and they go and have a chat with one of them. And I mean,
How
a
was your
full-on,
day? Oh, your kid looks great. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I had a baby too. Oh,
a
that's so
full-on,
fun.
a
Oh,
full-on
see, now,
fucking chat.
They missed the trick
right?
there. They
It
could
gets
have had a little Dory swimming. What?
Yeah, it gets better.
Keep swimming, just keep
That's
swimming.
it.
It gets better when one of the whales dies. They're very upset about this, that one of the whales dies, which, okay, you're upset. It's one of your mates. And, you know, you was having a catch up earlier on in the day. But they literally say, how could the humans do this? They say, that I can't remember the name. They were a great composer of songs talking about the whale.
Or the whale song, like the.
So instantly I'm thinking of a whale rocking out on a fucking harmonica or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it was atrocious on that bit. But those are the bits that took me out. And they loved the Colonel. The Colonel guy's back from the first one.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they love him. They love him. And if you're underwater, do you really think choking someone's going to be a good idea? Because they're going to pass out. Just hold them underneath the water. You don't need to try and choke them out. There's little bits like that, and we can overanalyze it.
Yeah.
If
You
I
overanalyze? Really?
exactly.
Ooh, controversial. Uh-oh.
I would be right there with you. I mean, yeah, that's one of the things that I like to do watching a movie that is just not hitting the mark for me is try to, what would I have done instead? And with this, yeah, you could do something with basically every single character could have been improved. Something could have been changed to make it better. The one thing I thought was an improvement on this movie was, well, there were actually a couple things that I thought were improvements, but this was a big one. I did not believe that the human race would be okay with us going and obliterating an intelligent alien race so that we can get a valuable metal, the unobtainium. But now the motivation for the humans to get to this planet is higher. It's the Earth is dying, so they have to come. And I thought that should have been the motivation from the beginning, because then it would have been intriguing. So they did that, but then, and I think another YouTuber made a comment about the whale brain juice, how it was brought up once, but then never really mentioned or used as part of the plot again. So the whole we're running away from the humans story is based on revenge. The Colonel guy, who has been cloned basically into a blue person now, is he wants revenge on Jake Sully and his family for killing him, even though he doesn't remember getting killed. So that's the whole reason they're running, is because they don't want to be obliterated by the guy who's trying to get revenge.
And the character of Spider, that he was annoying me all the way through. So Spider is the Colonel's son, right? And he was left behind. So he's been raised by the Navy all the way through. But he talks like a surfer dude the whole way through. He's like, yeah, bro, yeah, dude, and all that sort of stuff. And he's not a great actor either, to be honest with you. But overall, he was just ultimately pointless. And the thing is, a lot of the characters, it was almost like a rehash of the first one.
Does that character make us hate humans? Is that always that obnoxious?
No, because you can see the conflict. The only thing I will say about him is you can see that conflict between him. This is my race, but then these are the people that have raised me. You can kind of see that bit of conflict with him. But overall, none of the characters it's almost like a rehash of the first one. They have to, the humans are there. They have to go and, sort of gather themselves and link up with other creatures and animals. And almost like when he got his like little bird thing in the first one, we had to like capture it and sort of bond with it. They almost do the same thing, but with this weird sort of like dragonfly thing in water. So they do the same sort of thing with that. But like, for example, Jake Sully, there's no arc for him. He starts off as a man that will do anything to defend his family.
Yeah.
And he sort of meanders through. You forget about him through the middle half of the film because you're following the kids all the time.
Yeah, I think that the movie is about the kids, actually. It's not about Jake anymore.
No.
In 3 hours, then, are you both saying that it's a long...
The
Or
middle,
and you enjoyed it overall. Like, I'm trying to gauge.
I'm glad I saw it in theaters because that's how it's
Yeah.
supposed to be seen.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Mm.
But
I think
what it was a good 3 hours, or there was.
I came out mostly satisfied.
Right, no, that's all
yeah,
right,
no,
really.
and it sounds like we're completely slagging it off, but I mean the first initial comeback of the humans for me went a bit too quick. It's supposed to be this apocalyptic moment. I would like to have seen some more of the actual apocalypse of that, like in the first one when the humans destroy that tree, that like their home place, and you see the devastation.
Okay.
You see that devastation on, in this one, you see the humans come back and the forest is obliterated, everything's set on fire, then it just cuts and you're like 6 months later or like a year later.
I think that
there was no heart to it.
That devastation though happened with the whale. That was the thing in this one, is the whale being killed. So there's a long drawn out scene where they go
la 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 la.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were okay with spoilers.
No. Oh.
Yeah, he keeps changing his mind.
No,
I think that
it's pretty obvious what's going to happen. There's going to be a long sequence.
No, this is what happens when we invite guests on. Right, I'm ending it now.
I think if half hour was cut from the middle of the film, it would have been really tight, really tight.
That's a good point, actually. So on that subject, Amber, as an editor, so right, your task, whether it be a feature like in a magazine that's a true story or an investigative piece, or whether or not you're editing someone's short story, with all this stuff, with your editorial head on, if you was in that round table and the creative table for Avatar 2, it's a long film, and I know you're kind of nitpicking, but you're saying in general it's great.
Yeah, I wouldn't say story-wise, I wouldn't say great, but it did the job.
You've done with your editorial head. If the company involved, whatever it is, Disney or 20th Century Fox, whatever it did, they said, right, Amber, come on in. We need you to kind of hone, old Jimmy Boy here's got a bit of a story based on the first film and all that, but we need to mold it into something maybe less than 3 hours, maybe something a bit more family friendly. Where would you have started with that?
Well, the first thing I would have done is looking at the script. Anytime that there were kids or characters marveling at the world, because they did that a lot, to the point that I was like, and here they are marveling at the underwater world again.
We go back to the tech, like the tech.
I would have had it happen maybe once for the kids underwater, but not a dozen times. And because after a while it got old. We don't need to marvel. That's literally just the camera saying, audience, look at this beautiful thing. And the reason we're doing it is because the character is looking at this beautiful thing, right?
It took us 13 years to do it, actually.
Yeah.
You do want to show off.
But there should be ways to do that without it having to be a character stopping and looking. You know how we were irritated by characters in Willow stopping and chatting so you can see the big cool storm cloud? This was the same thing. We're watching yet another character stop and marvel at a fish swimming by. And I wanted to take those scenes out and say, let's have a cool fish swim by, but it's because they're hunting it or something. And this is part of the bonding ritual.
Part of the movement, of the momentum of the story.
Exactly. It should have purpose other than it. So I had a really great teacher in college. He was the only contemporary writer in the entire English literature department. Everybody else did,
Is that Randy?
No, it wasn't Randy. But he was the only contemporary writer. Everyone else did academic writing and literary writing. They're very hoity-toity. But he said you don't want to put stuff in there for the sake of showing something off, because then it's just pornography. He says stop writing pornography.
Yeah,
that's all it is. It's just there for the sake of showing it off, and that's what this was.
But don't you think after 13 years there should be no excuses for a poor script?
There shouldn't be, but I understand why he did it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand.
Was there anything alluding to the next lot of movies in this?
Well, yeah, the bad guy lives. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not, it's predictable.
I asked the question, shut up.
So remember when we first saw the trailer for Avatar 2, and we said it on one of the hogcasts, that with Avatar 2, we know it's going to be the humans as the bad guys.
Yeah.
And I said, after that, because we've seen it, you don't want to get too samey. They need to move on to something else with the third and the fourth one. I don't think they're going to.
I don't think they will either.
I think it's going to be the
Sticking with
humans every
Pandora.
time. It's going to be the humans every time as the main bad guy.
Yeah.
Every time.
Well, you might get a bit of luck then, Hog, because next one might be set in a desert, and we know you love a desert.
Yes. The desert scene, and I like people walking and talking in the desert.
Yeah, there we go.
But to sum up on the Avatar, if I was to say the first one was like a 9 out of 10, this one for me would be probably, despite what I've said about the story, probably about an 8. So it's not as good as the first one, but visually it's better, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Amber, what would you say?
So for me, I actually thought that the story, because I did not enjoy the Jake, Sully, and Natiri romance in the first one. I mean, they fall in love in a montage, and there's nothing.
There's nothing more. Hang on. There's nothing more powerful than a montage, all right?
That's it.
Love a montage.
So apart from that, the rest of the story was, the humans are greedy and they're destructive and they don't care what, who they destroy on their way to get what they want. That was the rest of the story. But this had a lot of kids being bullied and not knowing how to fit in, or siblings standing up for each other, feeling responsible for each other. So I felt like it was a little bit better in that it tried to explore something different, something even more relatable, I think, because everybody's felt like, oh, I don't fit in at some point. But it was so skeletal. It was just, these people are in this situation and we're not going to do a whole lot with it. We just want you to know that that's the way it is for them.
When you break down, when they go to like the water tribes, if you put that in a real life scenario, it's you and your family have moved to another town. Your kids are getting bullied at school, but one of them's fallen in love with one of the girls that are there. That's essentially all it is. It almost verged. It was just shy of verging on a teen drama for that section of the movie.
It's Twilight underwater.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it a whole lot, just because I was glad there was more than just. I mean, it was Dances with Wolves and Pocahontas put together. It was the same thing. It was, the guy comes in, he's trying to fit in, he falls in love with the girl. And I felt like I'd seen that so many, many times that I was glad to see that there was something different. And to me, that was an improvement, because they could have easily just focused on the romance between the one son and the girl. And that wasn't a central part of the story at all.
No,
it was mainly about the siblings getting along and trying to fit in. And I thought that was better. So for me, it was a little bit better for that reason, because they picked a different theme or different focus for the story. And it was refreshing in that way. It was exactly the same as the first one. I think I would have been bored out of my mind.
What would your scores be then, Amber, for the first one? So Space Lizard is saying he's giving his scores for 1 and 2 compared. What if you had to?
I would have given 1 an 8, and I would give this one an 8.3. So it was not. Yeah.
Too long you have.
The special effects were better. So I mean it did that.
Because the sci-fi, there's something, and it goes back to June when that come out. When I come out of that with my son, having first watched it and having read the books and watched the first film, directed by Amber, help me out.
The director.
Which books are we talking about?
June. First June film.
Oh, Dune. Yeah, I love Dune.
The guy who did Elephant Man and
Denis Villeneuve.
David Lynch.
David Lynch. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
That one.
Which is June. I even remember Sting.
Sting, yeah.
And he did this mega epic, and it did fail. It flopped. It flopped hard. But I loved it for its madness, for the director's vision, and at least he put everything on the line.
Yeah.
Everything on the line. And I've got to say, old Denis Villeneuve with June, last year, the first part of the first book. I did come out there, but I was saying to my son, like, we'd both seen it in IMAX and in all its glory.
Mhm.
And I went, you know what? I just so loved it because it was almost like pure sci-fi. I know that might be a bit exaggeration, but it was just sci-fi. Nothing light about it. It seemed as if everything was considered. Everything, you know, even the shock troops coming down and hovering, you know, and ornithopters and how they may work, etc. When I rewatched the first Avatar, I'm just comparing the two, just before we move on.
Sorry. Go ahead. I just don't think they're comparable. How the heck? Go ahead, though.
It's all encompassing.
Okay.
In a different world.
Yeah.
Just total sci-fi. Yeah.
The first Avatar was not as hard sci-fi as Dune.
No, I'm with you. Yeah.
My God, I was there.
Yeah.
On that one alien planet, nothing to do with anything else. They didn't have to make anything. And I think Cameron made it work. So the thing I'm loving about Dune and Avatar is the fact that they are they're
immersive.
Yes, they're hanging it all out there. Whether it's perfect or not, because Dune, I think, could have done with maybe a 15-minute trim, the first film, if I was going to be really, really nitpicky with Denis Villeneuve's one. But do you think sometimes we love it, but there's a part of us that still goes, you know, it's not perfect, but it doesn't have to be. Because I don't think that first Dune film was, and I don't think the second film's going to be perfect.
That's this year, isn't it? The second one.
Yeah. Part 2 comes out this year.
Yeah, but it's so much better when you look at it and you come out. And I would want to revisit that film. I'd want to get the Blu-ray of it. I'd want to see the behind the scenes of how they done it all. Me just being a geek, I want to see how it's all done.
Yeah. And
I love their dedication to it. Whether or not that makes it that should be something that makes it a cinematic experience, you know, believing in the director's vision and, oh, he's having a good time, so we should. I'm not saying we should allow that as an excuse. But don't you think that something like Avatar 2 has smashed anything else that anyone else has been doing or even tried to get made?
But do you think, though,
you're finding, you know, you're not saying it's perfect, which is good, but you're both giving it high scores. But does that not mean that man has smashed it? He spent 13 years smashing it. He's designed it.
Yeah.
He's not been bothered about doing Titanic 2 when they raise it. I read a book once called Raise the Titanic. Clive, I think it was
They made a movie. They made a movie, Raising the Titanic.
Actually, Tayters, you might be right. I think it's
they did. It was shit.
Don't you think, though, like as you said, Amber, he's made this film as a spectacle to show off what he can do. Now, I know he's taken full control of it, but play to your strengths. You know that you've got really talented writers out there. Tell them your treatment for the story and what you want, but get someone else to write it so that way you can do your spectacle. Don't try and do everything yourself. And I think that's sometimes where things go wrong. Everyone thinks they can do everything when actually, you know, some people are better suited to writing, some people are better suited to directors, some people are better suited to editing. James Cameron knows what he can do. Look at the films he's given us over the years. He's given us some amazing films. He's good at spectacles. He's good at getting that emotion across on the screen. He's good at showing us some amazing scenery. Just let someone else do the writing. Give that little bit of control and let someone else do the writing and let that writing go through that process. So not only do we have a visual spectacle, we've also got an amazing story that we can't nitpick.
Have any of you ever seen the James Cameron Spider-Man film script?
What? No, I've never even heard of it.
Yes. Hold on.
Here we go.
Oh, he's got it. He's got his library out.
Hold on. So in the back of this, yeah. And don't get me wrong, I was shocked. I only bought this about a few months ago, and right in the back, look,
What?
this is his artwork and his script treatment.
Wow.
And
Yeah, and it would have been the bollocks.
really?
Really? Oh boy.
Would have been it just would have been postscript Spidey sense. Look, I mean, look, I'm not going to read the book out because that isn't very good viewing. Postscript Spidey sense. This is right in the back of this book, look, and it's got all the stuff, all these Terminator artwork, and look, all sketches of the Na'vi, and you know, it's not a very interesting book, really. But right at the back, so I'm flicking through it like you do when you pick up a tome of this thickness. You just go click, click, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, look, you know, there's all the aliens, you know, there's stuff there from, and right at the end, it's
It looks like Firefly.
oh, that's another favourite. Yeah.
Right
Right at the back.
That's something they should never have cancelled. Don't get me started on Firefly. Oh, we're going to be here all night.
Yeah. There'll have to be a separate channel for you and Amber, I think, because if you.
I missed that show. I missed that show so much. That show was so good.
But he says, and then there's Spider-Man, the greatest movie I never made. I couldn't finish this book without a bit of Spidey in it because my version of the project didn't get off the ground. Very little concept art was created for it, although I did draw a couple of pieces, like blah blah blah. But yeah, yeah. So anyway, I just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah.
Because
ultimately pointless.
I think,
but he always needs a humongous budget for the movies that he makes. I mean, since True Lies, he's only made giant films, right?
Yes.
So he's got to get people who are willing to put huge chunks of money towards his project. I think if he's got, you know, Spider-Man and you're looking at it saying this is no good, other people had to have looked at it and said this is no good. And I know we can feel like, you know, oh, we trust James Cameron. That's a lot of money that he spent on.
It would have been a gazillion. Yeah,
yeah,
a gazillion. I just thought it was an interesting little tidbit.
Yeah.
But I think the man loves. You know, you can't fault him for loving. He's not doing it for any other purpose other than he intensely loves it.
Yeah. That's got to be what's missing, I think, from shows like Willow and some of the other movies that we see coming out. Like when Iron Man came out, the first one, I loved it, but basically every sequel since then has gotten slowly worse and worse and worse. It's become the fast food thing, you know, like quickly put, you know, we've got a skeleton of what the script should look like, add some different little things in there, change it up a tiny bit and send it out, you know, make it as fast as you can and send it out. But he tries to create something with heart every time. He's not doing this for the sake of producing and getting money. He's doing it because he wants to stun people. And I think that love that you're describing is what's missing in a lot of other franchises that we're seeing.
Or just
on the first one,
characters.
On the first Avatar movie, I know the post-production run very tight because I think they finalized it 10 days before the release.
I heard that too.
Yeah, him going back, constantly changing things. And it was like, no, not happy with that. Got to change this. No, that's not the way I want it. This got to change. And it literally finished 10 days before the cinema release. That was, I mean, that's a man who, Jesus Christ. Well, most people be like, no, that'll do. Just chip it out. Get rid of it.
Does anyone remember The Abyss?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again,
I haven't seen it since I was a little kid, but I remember it.
Oh, that wasn't long ago, though, was it? You're still young.
I'm almost 40. It was like 35 years ago.
I've still got it.
You should be the next James Bond.
Yeah. In the rumours.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Anyone else? Lizard?
No, I haven't seen it.
I heard somewhere that the next James Bond is a woman, but that might have just been, you know, projections, you know, like it's probably going to be, you know, he's replaced with a woman, female James Bond from now on. Like
woman, and she's going to be a lesbian. Oh my God.
No, isn't the latest rumor? I forget the fella's name now.
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
There we go. You got it. That's the one. Yeah.
Guy from Kick-Ass.
Yes.
What do you think about that? Check him out. I'll allow it.
I'm in two minds.
I think. Well,
I mean, there was a lot of people put up for this, weren't there? Like Tom Hardy.
Right. There are a lot of decent actors.
Just
Even
get Henry
Tom
Cavill
Hiddleston
in.
was put forward.
Henry Cavill for everything.
Just get Henry Cavill in.
That's
get
it.
Henry.
We want him as Superman. We want him as Bond. We want him.
We want him as the whole Justice League. We want him as the whole Justice League. Just make,
we want him as the Flash.
That's it.
We want him as Green Lantern.
That's it. You got it.
But now, has anyone seen Bullet Train?
Well, this is the first headline I get when I get next James Bond movie 2023. It's from ING. It says next James Bond movie will be a complete reinvention for the series. That doesn't bode well.
No, the last film didn't bode well. A Time to Die gave James Bond a wife and a kid and a suicide and tears. Now, none of that is what you go to a James Bond film to see.
No.
Yeah. Agreed.
Literally, none of it. And I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to move the character on.
No, you don't need to do that with the loved character.
Exactly.
You can have Sherlock Holmes be the same asshole in episode 1 as he was in episode 10 as he was in episode 1.
Yeah.
People just like that character. They like to see what he'll do. They don't need to see him change.
We spoke about Maverick. Did we want to see him? Bit of a belly, like me. Bit of a belly. Oh, he's at home. He's got married. He's got a couple of kids, and he's having a row with the old woman. Oh, fucking hell! I want to fly a plane. I want to fly a plane. She's going, fly a plane. You've got dinner to cook. You've got to put the Hoover around. You haven't done nothing this weekend. I want to do is fly a Tomcat. I want to drive my motorbike over to the airfield, and she's going, drive your motorbike. Do you realise how much it costs for diesel now?
Diesel.
But what I mean is, what I'm getting at is, he didn't do it, did he? Tom Cruise didn't do that. But them lot with James Bond, that No Time to Die was absolutely ridiculous. The first 20 minutes was awesome. It was Bond, what you wanted. And the rest of it saying, oh, yeah, he got married. All right, you've got to give him a little foible. He's falling in love, so that's a weakness. I don't mind that. He's shagging all the birds and he's drinking, he's smoking, and he's shagging birds, but he loves one of them. But that's his weakness. We all get it. We get that trope. But in this one, it was like, oh, yeah, you just love her. And, oh, now you've had a kid. Oh, now you're going to cry and commit suicide at the end of the film. I mean, come on. Who goes to see a James Bond film for that?
Get Cavill.
I don't know who does.
It disrespects the character that people loved.
Big time.
Yeah.
And I don't know why Hollywood keeps thinking that, well, he's never going to be popular with new people if, we don't change him. No, people have been the same way for thousands of years. There are certain characters we just love. We love the underdog.
Yes, we like our expectations met, don't we? There's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
If you do it in a creative way, it's called storytelling.
Yeah.
You kind of want, if you're going to do a boy meets girl film and girl doesn't like boy at the beginning of the film, but you've gone to see a rom-com, boy meets girl, oh, he's going to get the girl at the end, whatever it is. And what is it? Is there 9? Is it 9? You know.
Yeah, there's something like that. Yeah.
There's 9 stories that have ever been told. I don't know if it was Jodie Campbell that said that.
Yes.
There's the boy meets girl. There's the hero's journey. Whatever it's going to be. There's only 9 stories that you can tell. But send us off on the journey. You might give us a surprise at the end. Midpoint, whatever it is, whatever film or TV series. But how are they losing sight of this now? I think it's just a young bunch of people that haven't had to go through any kind of crucible of expectation and delivery.
I can believe that.
But it's also the demand as well, because you go back when we was getting all the good stuff. You didn't have all your Netflix, you didn't have your Prime and all that. It was literally, you had normal network TV where you had your shows that had to be on, otherwise they're getting cancelled, and then you had your cinema. now with all these other platforms, there's so much demand. You're not just getting your top of the crop anymore, delivering this stuff. They're pulling up everyone. They're getting all the newbies in. So they haven't got a choice most of the time. So they've got to get more content out there. And like Amber said, it becomes a fast food restaurant. The standard has to drop, because if you're just relying on your like sort of A team all the time, they're not going to be able to produce all the stuff that's required to fill all the content on all these platforms.
I think streaming is in its infancy. I think streaming is the problem.
At the moment, it will get better.
At the moment, it's in its infancy. I'm not saying ban streaming. I'm not saying that. And let's go back to the old network days, you know, when Star Trek was repeated 18 times a day and all that. I'm not saying that. The future is there, but it's in its infancy and there's no measurement.
Well, aren't they starting to introduce advertising into some of the streaming services?
I think
it's very annoying. You've paid for it and now you have to watch commercials. Wasn't my money good enough?
Yeah, exactly.
No,
but
like Amazon have wound me up this time round. The Amazon Prime. It's just like now you've got to subscribe to Lionsgate Plus, Peacock TV, this, that, and the other. It's like, I know I pay you my yearly subscription. Why have I now got to pay more?
Didn't somebody say that eventually somebody's going to reinvent cable TV? That's what we're all getting.
This would be a great idea.
They're going to combine all of them into one package, and then like
just network TV again.
Yes.
but to be fair though, the own, going back to Cameron quickly, he demands a spectacle. You couldn't see one of his films being put on Netflix, like being released on Netflix. He demands a spectacle that must be seen at the cinema.
He wants the cinema release. Definitely.
Same as Nolan as well. We need more directors like that that are going to demand that people go back into the cinema.
I think Maverick was delayed for that because they're like, nope, we're waiting till after the pandemic's over where people can come and see this. I think that the thing that could save streaming is if instead of paying a subscription, there's a giant database and you're allowed to pay per item, or I don't know what you'd say, but okay, I want to buy Game of Thrones season 1. And that's where the money goes. It doesn't go to any network. It doesn't go to any streaming service or whatever. I'm just buying Game of Thrones. And there's a religious series here that's really popular right now called The Chosen. And there's a streaming service that only has that show on it. And it's doing wildly well because the money that people aren't paying for a subscription and it goes to 10 shows, it's going to one show. So every dollar that goes towards that streaming service goes towards the show.
Nice.
So if they did something like that, if every series that came out had its own streaming platform, I think that would save the quality because it would only go toward
you get your metrics back as the viewing figures and so on and so forth. I
can't help thinking that format might be restrictive because people, if you've got to pause to pay, you're flicking through, you've got all your little icons on whatever platform you're on, and you're going flick, 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 and you're making decisions in split seconds, and you're looking at a couple of faces, whether you want action, drama, rom-com, sci-fi, horror, and you're going bang, 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 bang. And then you land on it and it says, right, you've got to pay $1.50. And I know it's only $1.50 or £2 or £5 or $5 for the series or $2 for the film. But do you know what? That pause, if I was the higher ups at Disney or Amazon or Netflix, it don't work. Because as soon as that pause, if you know anything about sales,
you're right.
You're in the hard sell then. You've got a hard sell, but there's no opportunity to hard sell it. You've seen the trailer and you might want it, but who would have watched Wednesday? Who would have paid to watch Wednesday if it wasn't just on the platform that they're paying?
But at the same time, I think Disney Plus and Netflix have both lost huge amounts of subscribers because everybody knows there's nothing but garbage on here anymore.
Oh, thanks, Anna.
And then a show like Wednesday comes along and people come back to it. But so something's got to change because A network gets a reputation for producing garbage, and people leave, and they no longer have that money anymore.
How's your shares in Dismal going, Hog?
No, they're tanking. It's still, I'm still Brad Pitt on the top of that fucking Sherman, man. I am. And I'll tell you what, they're winning. They're winning. You know, we're at that crossroads in the film where he's laying the mines and all that, and they're winning. But Netflix, they're on up because what no one wants to talk about is Netflix have had years of glory. And I'm not saying they've invested wisely, and I am not a share buying guru or anything like that. All I can see is the couple of quid that I've spent in their shares and Dismal, and actually Paramount, and they tanked even worse last year.
I'm surprised Paramount still existed. I thought they'd gone by now.
I just dumped them, and got me a couple of quid back. And listen, I'm not even talking hundreds. I just had a little, almost like a little flutter, like a little bet on it. But Netflix, the one thing that Netflix has got is cash. So they'll have a bad quarter. They've still got cash. And that is the one thing that saves them. The rest of them, even Disney, haven't got it because they've lost $1.5 billion last year. They've got loads of, just think about it, they've got loads more subscribers but lost 1.5 billion. It makes sense to us. I don't know why it doesn't make sense to any of them. Like that they keep making TV or films, whether it's the stuff, you know, the franchises that we love and we want them to make them succeed. We really do, don't we? We want to see the Star Wars, like Andor was good. Yeah. And we're begging them. We're pleading. Please make it something decent, you pricks.
But now Iger's back. Now Iger's back at Disney. The chances are he's started to come back a little bit. Yeah.
Why don't somehow it's got to resonate, and that's why on a Sunday night, what's his name? Old Chapek got sacked.
Yeah.
It happened like the night of the long knives. And, you know, he's watching football, whatever it was, on a Sunday evening, and he's out because they've got to make a show of things like that to show the shareholders, not the likes of me, but the big boys, with big shares, and it's a massive company. They fucked up bad, but they just don't seem to be correcting themselves. Like Zaslav at Warner Brothers, he does honestly, whether or not you think Gunn and his mate should have got rid of Cavill and all that. Nevertheless, Zaslav, as the Lord, as the overseer of it all, has said that fucking Batwoman film is shit. It's staying on the shelf. I'm not releasing it. I'm not having. I can't have this company be a laughing stock. I know we've spent a few million on it, but we've got to spend a few more million marketing it, like on post-production and marketing it and sending all them pricks all over the world fucking advertising it, you know, all the blah, blah. And he said, no, I'm going to wipe my mouth in England, Amber. It's like, I'm going to wipe my mouth.
Wipe my mouth and walk away.
Yes. Thank you, Tayters. Wipe my mouth and walk away. And he's just put it on the shelf and thought, fuck that. But there's a load of other stuff in the can. He's got Aquaman 2 in the can. He's got Flash in the can. This isn't just like ad hoc. This is planned.
Yeah.
Anyway, so but the streaming, I think the streaming side of things, it's in its infancy, and all there needs to be is a measure.
Yeah.
You have a measure of success, not internal. Not Amazon saying Rings of Power did really well, guys. Everyone loved Rings of Power. We've got metrics. We've got our own metrics here.
People watched it, but they weren't loving it.
Again, people watch it for the wrong reasons, though. That's what they don't get. They just see people watch it.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we listen. We can ramble on.
Yeah.
We could
We're going
ramble
to talk
on.
about upcoming movies.
Yeah, come on, guys. Predictions. Who wants to go first? Not just movies, but TV, movies, all the genre stuff we love, right? And we obviously all do love it. And we all, oh, someone's got their notebook out. That's a big notebook as well. Wow. I've only got a little.
I got it at a conference. It's some insurance company was sponsoring the conference. And...
Yeah, but I'm taking bag of these. So, out of all the trailers that have come out so far.
Oh, it has to have a trailer out already?
No, it doesn't have to have a trailer. So, of all the trailers that have come out so far, and what all the guys and girls are saying we should love, let's choose a hit and a miss. It doesn't have to be one of each. Let's, I'll keep it loosey goosey. Who wants to go first?
The miss, straight in. We talked about it earlier. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Oh. That is just no.
But ain't that a sequel to the first one? They've already done one, ain't they? And that done all right.
It's so bad. Even the trailer is hard to watch. That's just like 2.5 minutes long.
I think people go to see something like that because they love going to the movies and having a fun experience, and people aren't doing that as much anymore. So I think you're right. Oh. I think it's going to be a flop.
I think it's just going to drop. Like
that's an easy one.
Yeah, it really is.
I'd take really. I'm not having that. I'm going to allow it. I'm not going to edit that out, but I'm not.
All right, my next one then.
Go on.
Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious 10.
What, hit?
No. There's a 10?
No, not a hit. Have you seen the premise of it?
No. I've not paid any attention to Fast and Furious.
Oh my God. My prediction for this movie is we are effectively going to get a clip show of the other 9 Fast and Furious movies, because apparently they travel all over the world and they hook up with all the people that they've seen before in all the other movies, and everybody gets together. And
oh no, that's going to be a success then, because what they're doing, what they did with Willow, they're pulling in like people who the audience members loved these characters from the past movies. Guess what? They're back. Except they're not going to be back and be recognizable in any way. So it's going to be a big disappointment. People will go and see it.
Those films have earned a lot of money.
Of course.
They are big hits.
But, I mean, that doesn't mean they're not shit. I think it was around number 6. Because I'm sure I was speaking to Liz. Before, years ago, about how stupid they're getting with, like, it's just
way over the top.
And I did turn around and say at number 6, it wouldn't surprise me to end up in space. And then we had number 9, and they're in space, and it's I'm done. No.
I think it'll still be a financial success, as in it will pay for itself and probably make money, but it will be crap writing. And but that, this is where you have to ask, okay, what are we judging here? Are we saying, is this going to be a good movie, or is this going to be financially successful? Because those are two different things.
All it is entertainment.
Or a crowd pleaser.
It's just entertainment. It's not something you're going to go, that bit was funny, that bit was great, that bit was amazing, that bit was, and then, overall, enjoyable.
If you're into Fast and Furious since the first film, and the 10th one delivers, I'm all for it.
Well, I mean, the best thing about the 10th one is it's the last one.
That massive... What's that?
I said the best thing about the 10th one is it's the last one. That's it. It's done. It's finished.
If it earns money, mate,
I have a cousin who has been a diehard fan of Fast and Furious from the very first movie. Right.
And is he looking?
Just absolutely adores them.
Is he looking forward? But have they did everything? Oh, sorry, she.
No, it's okay. I think people are surprised when they find out it's a girl. That's the only reason I mentioned it.
Girl likes cars.
She likes the sexy men in the cars, I think.
There we go.
Oh, I've got to do so much editing now. We can't have sexual. Amber, I should have warned you. We can't have sexual content like this.
Oh no!
Only if we talk about women. That's all.
Yeah, it's a one-sided.
There's some pretty sexy girls in the Fast and Furious too.
Not you and your inappropriate cousin talking about buff men.
mean, in terms of the content of Fast and Furious 10, I do believe it's going to be a little bit lacking. I think it's
a little bit lacking.
Show. Yeah,
A little bit. Oh,
yeah.
He should be with Randy, shouldn't he? Scoring Willow 8 out of 10.
Yeah, so he scored it 8 out of 10, but when the camera is off, he's going like, "Yeah, I'm definitely rating it high for a bit of shock value."
In that video, and he went, at the beginning of your video for that last episode. Yeah, it's going to be controversial, guys. Yeah, it's going to be a shock.
Yeah,
you're going like that. You're thinking, it's shit, man.
The first time that he gave it, I think like a 7, I was stunned. But then I kind of figured out his game, and I was like, okay, this works, and it's good. He's trying to look on it with a positive light. What about it was good, and was it good enough that I would rate it a 10? Like even just these little bits, and like the best he could give it was an 8 at its absolute peak. And
the end credits were quick.
I love that about you guys. I love the positivity and you're really, like you said, it's exhausting, but you're really trying so hard. Like you're dedicating yourself to really.
Well, I'm not shy about, I gave one episode a 1. So I don't remember which one. I think it was the one where they're in the forest and there's the bone reavers who are, they're just misunderstood.
Is that the one?
I know they killed our buddy earlier, but what?
Was that the one with the truth plums?
Yes.
The truth plums. We all love a truth plum.
Oh my gosh, that's stupid.
You can't get 2 in your mouth at once. That's all I know.
Yeah. Anyway, back to 2023. So, what's everyone else's potential flops? What are they looking at?
Dungeons and Dragons for me this year.
I think, yeah.
You've seen that trailer with Chris Pine.
Oh,
a lot of time for him. I've got a lot of. I didn't mind him in the Star Trek.
No, as Kirk, he did really well. Yeah,
yeah, I thought he was all right. He's not a bad guy. But I just think this whole film, again, we boil back to a lot of what we've been talking about with all these franchises. Is I used to play, bit of context. I used to play Dungeons and Dragons when I was young. Imagine it. Just picture this. When D&D first came out, the first edition, I was there with me mates.
Gary Gygax, yeah.
Yeah. There was no telly, so there's nothing else we had to do. We couldn't get a girlfriend, so we couldn't do that. So we played D&D.
See, I grew up with the animated Saturday morning cartoon that used to come on. And
is there anything? There is nothing. So you've got a global audience for Dungeons and Dragons as a playing game, and
and probably peaked from the normies through Stranger Things as well.
Yes, and you've got all this new input, and sales have gone up since Stranger Things Series 1, which I really did love. I used to have all the little figures, and I've still got folders of stuff, and there was a sci-fi version called Traveller as well, and you'd have to map out space stations and planets that your characters had to go to, and you'd spend hours with your mates. Right. Anyway, waffle finished. What I'm talking about is a global audience that you've already got. So you get the rights to Dungeons and Dragons, and you think, right, we're going to make a film. There is not one iota within the source material that says make it a comedy.
No.
There is nothing there. It's wizards. It's Tolkien heavy, to be fair. Like that first edition of Dungeons and Dragons, you read Lord of the Rings and you're there. And the fantasy books, Conan the Barbarian, a bit of Robert E. Howard, and the Tarzan creator, Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Yes.
All of that heavy fantasy stuff is there in D&D, right? No. They get the rights to the film, and they've released this trailer with Chris Pine and these idiots they just quip their way through the trailer.
The prerequisite is they have to have a dungeon and they have to have a dragon, and then beyond that, they're done.
and they've put Led Zeppelin. They've put a heavy metal soundtrack.
I did like that though. I did like the Led Zeppelin.
Oh fuck!
That was the only bit about the trailer that was any good.
Thor did it, which it kind of worked because it was new then, wasn't it?
I only like the song.
The first Guardians of the Galaxy film comes out, and it worked within seriousness. Everything was getting really heavy, and I don't know if it was planned or not. But the first Guardians of the Galaxy film come out, and it was a relief. We all went, "Oh, we can relax a bit here. We can just watch Raccoon and Groot and all that."
Yeah,
and it worked so well. But then every other film from Guardians, they went, everyone wants to laugh now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Your mate, Taika Waititi.
Ah, waka taka waka. Yeah.
You know, Taika's earlier stuff is hilarious. If you ever watch,
Yes.
Hunt for the Wilder People and What We Do in the Shadows, those are great.
Awesome.
But yeah, I think that this is one of those situations where they've realized there's a new audience who's interested in Dungeons and Dragons, but they don't really understand who they are. And so,
they're kids that want to go, ha 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 ha.
Yeah, and that's not the case at all. So there were a lot of complaints about the reboot of the Star Wars with Chris Pines, that it didn't feel like a Star Trek film. I'm a big Star Trek fan. I love, well, at least for Next Generation. I mean, I grew up sneaking out of my room to watch it while my parents were watching it at night when it was, premiering, and they didn't know I was in the back of the room, like looking, and then I have to run and hide if they saw me. But I agree. It didn't feel quite like a Star Trek film because it had developed into something. Star Trek had developed into something that this movie was not. And the idea was, well, we'll attract new people to it. We're making it more universally palatable. And I think that's what they're going to try to do with Dungeons and Dragons. But the problem is that the people, the normies, are not going to go see a movie like that. They're just not going to.
No,
I don't think that they're going to see Chris Pines and be like, oh, yeah, I want to go see him. I think there's a very small group of people that will do it for that reason. But most normies aren't going to go see Dungeons and Dragons. And the ones who love the game are going to be disappointed by it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, big time, even by the trailer. But there's a lot of things to be said against the Star Trek reboot. And that was Jar Jar on it. Abrams, who did it. But at the end of the day, Chris Pine and that Zachary
Quinto.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I thought they were good.
First film, yeah, I enjoyed it. It wasn't quite Star Trek,
yeah,
as we know it, but I thought they was doing a decent modernization of it. I thought they did a decent.
They gave you enough. Yeah,
but then they lost their way. I think from the second film.
Yeah,
the second film wasn't so bad, and then and in the TV shows, I don't know what that abomination.
The Orville though has picked up the reins.
Yeah, massively.
And they've added comedy, so I actually was like, okay, this is good.
I do like that show. So, what would yours be, Amber?
I'm actually going to say I think that the Marvel, the Avengers crew, not just the Avengers franchise, but I mean all the Marvel superheroes, I think that they're going down. So I wish I could isolate a single movie, but I don't think I could. I think the whole idea of the superheroes from the Marvel universe, and maybe DC as well, are tanking. So my brother-in-law is a huge fan of DC and Marvel, and he said just in the last 3 years he has no more hope for it. And he says, and pretty much everybody I know feels the same way. It's just garbage.
The next Marvel movie is Quantumania, isn't it?
Ant-Man, yeah. And I saw the trailer and thought the special effects looked all right, but my brother-in-law was like, nah, it just doesn't do it for me anymore. I just know it's going to be garbage.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just a strange.
It's the fast food writing.
There we go. Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of fatigue as well. I think it is fatigue.
Yeah. I mean, the only hope I've got for Marvel this year, that I'm even slightly, and I mean, I say this with a lot of don't even know the right fucking word for it, to be honest. I'm sort of looking forward to Secret Invasion.
Yeah, you're staking.
I'm staking it on Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
And that's just because Samuel Jackson, you got the Skrulls. And it looks a bit more of sort of a spy thriller-esque sort of show. But that's the only thing I can even say I'm vaguely intrigued by.
Yeah,
There's not much else.
I'll give you that. The trailer is decent.
Yeah.
But Dismal Drag, they suck us in, don't they?
Yep.
Don't they do it? And they, but
well, the 2.5 minutes trailer is the entire. That's all the good bits. All
that's
up
all the
together.
good bits.
Yeah.
The only time you're ever going to see
Everything
Samuel
else is
Jackson,
just shocking. Don't watch.
we couldn't afford him for more than 2 minutes. We only had enough dough, like, and then we fucked him off. And then the rest of it is, I don't know what they're going to do.
What about you, Liz?
I agree with Amber on all the Marvel stuff, but I'm going to pick one in particular, but it's DC. The Flash movie is going to be the flop of the year.
I really think that'll be the flop of the year too.
By far.
Yeah.
Even though there's intrigue through all the controversy around Ezra Miller, there's intrigue because it's kept getting cancelled and like moved later and kept getting pushed back, and there's intrigue with Michael Keaton. I think where it's gone on for so long, the hype around it's gone. And it's with all the changes that are going around, I just think it's going to be an absolute mess of a movie.
Yeah,
it's going to have a big opening weekend, and then after that, as soon as word gets out of what it's actually like, it's just going to drop straight off the radar straight away.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's too far gone. That should have been just put on the shelf because they're changing it all after that anyway, aren't they? Is that the last?
Well,
current run, and then
the latest rumor, which I don't understand. The latest rumor is keeping Ezra Miller. So you're getting rid of Cavill, you're getting rid of everyone else.
Okay,
but you're keeping Ezra Miller.
Wait, so is it Cavill left Superman? Is that what you're saying?
He got dropped.
He got dropped. Okay, because I know he left The Witcher, which I actually appreciated. I thought that was because I know that he's a huge fan of the series and the books and the games, and he left because they were destroying it. They were putting their own crap in. So I was like, you know what? Props to you, and I'm so sorry, because imagine the dream, like if you were a big Star Wars fan and now you get to play a Jedi in one of the movies. Turns out it's turning into
Warhammer.
He's so invested in person.
And that's why he's going to fit Warhammer. He's going to be really
40k, Warhammer 40k, which again, another role-playing game.
Yeah.
The first version of that, it was like a little A5 book when Warhammer first came out.
Yeah.
In England. But he's obviously followed it from then, and it's the war game, and the rest of it. But
so basically, Cavill was told to come back. He was told that he's back. He announced that he was back as Superman.
It was like 3 days, wasn't it?
And then a month later, he announced that, oh no, I'm not anymore.
Oh my god! So I don't think he'll have a hard time getting roles, though.
So sticking with DC, what about Shazam?
Not interested.
No,
not interested either.
No,
it didn't work for me. The first film. No. What did you think, Tayters?
Again, we get to that thing of, was it good or was it entertaining? It was entertaining. Had a few giggles. Yeah, it was a different way of looking at a superhero. And then it was over, and you don't need to visit it again. You should have just left it there.
I mean, what I would say is it wasn't offensive.
No,
it wasn't for me.
No,
what actually having a pause. It wasn't for me, but it wasn't so offensive. And when I saw the trailer for the second one again, it just isn't for me.
No,
but I can't see what they're doing wrong. If that's going to earn money and they've got a thing going on there, but it's just not what I want to. I saw Big with Tom Hanks. 30 years ago, and I'm over it now.
He's done that.
We've done it. We're moving on. So what about good stuff?
Good stuff coming up. Start off on who's going to predict a hit.
Dune. Sorry.
That's inevitable.
A given.
Amber, that's inevitable.
Yeah, it is.
Dune will be a hit. That is inevitable.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to pick one from the list that is unexpected to be a hit.
For me,
no, you haven't bumped the list, but no, Dune. I mean, don't get me. But to be fair, the first Dune film just about made it.
Yeah.
It just about made it.
I mean, the biggest thing that got me with the first Dune film is nobody told me going in it was a 2-parter. So when I come out of the cinema, I'm like, what the fuck? I've got to come back. Shit. Actually, I think I went with Liz to see that one. But
Did you?
I think actually
I
the
think-
Yeah,
movie
you did. Yeah, you did.
the movie was good enough and got such high praise everywhere that people who don't know anything about the Dune series still went to go see it and enjoyed it, or they will watch it after now that it's, you know, streamable. And that's going to attract, I think, an even bigger audience when the second one comes out, because the first one came out while people were still reluctant to go to theaters.
And
So this one will be, this one will be a hit. The second one will just blow everyone out of the water, I think.
Our friend I spoke about earlier, the new people that was being hired by Dismal without seeing a script through their agents. He's in June 2.
Yeah.
He's just finished filming it. So
Who is? Sorry, who?
our friend.
Your friend? Oh, okay. Very cool.
We can't name him yet.
You can't name him?
No,
All right.
no.
As a Christmas present, he did give me. No, I'm not going to say that about that.
May I just ask, is he
That'll get him in trouble as well. But he did give me something from the
set?
Oh, right. Yeah.
thing?
Okay.
So
Solid props.
I just have a question though. Is he like an extra or like a featured extra, or is he like tier level?
He's in a scene
Upper
with
tier.
Batista as with
Okay.
Raban. Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Film.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm gonna be
Nice.
guessing. I'll be in the theater trying to guess
I
who
was-
it is.
I was so excited, like when he told me he got the job. He went for an audition with for Sandman when Netflix done the Sandman series, and I just went over the top because obviously I've got all the Sandman comics and I was in all that, la la la. But he didn't get it, and I went, "Oh,
Aw.
yeah, you're dead to me."
Yeah.
But then he got the
Right
job
on.
to do too. Now he's my friend again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aw.
But no, I think one that's going to sneak up. I don't know if anybody's seen the trailer for it. 65.
No.
No.
Oh, Adam Driver.
No.
Adam Driver, 65. It's like, so the premise of this is they end up on a planet which is like a green.
Oh yeah, I saw the
Yes.
trailer for that. Yes.
Yes, there's 4 members of the cast.
Go on.
It ends up 65 million years ago with the dinosaurs. Yeah, and it's not time travel; they just come from somewhere else. But it's just
Right.
like, oh, it
That's
really
interesting.
looks
I
good.
haven't seen that.
It looks really good. It's like
Mm.
not many trailers you make you think, oh, I actually do want to go and see that. You know, it's not,
Yeah.
I might get to it. I might get to it. We'll see. But this one, I did actually look at it, and
They better market it better though, because I
Yes.
came across that trailer by accident
yes,
when I was looking for stuff that's coming out. I would never
Yes.
have just seen it and known it existed. And Adam Driver, he although I think a lot of the Star Wars people liked him, you know, and were interested in him, they weren't interested in the other things he did,
no,
because he's done a lot of independent films and
Yeah.
like small budget, very niche things that the Star Wars people would never go see. But this is something that they would go see. So
yeah.
And
But there's
Mm.
part of the
Yark
reason.
as well.
Part of the reason why I really hope this film does well is, Liz, if you ain't watched the trailer yet, and same for you, you haven't watched the trailer yet. We done our script creator a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's little aspects of in this movie that I'm
Nice.
watching, and I'm like, oh my god, we wrote this, we wrote this, we wrote this. Well, there's so much just in that trailer that I can pull from our script,
Nice.
and it's just like, and they
You haven't
have-
leaked it
so
anywhere,
if you
have
go
you?
on if you go on IMDb and look at the
Speaking of
cast, you got the four cast.
You haven't
Two of
leaked
them
our
don't
script
have
anywhere.
names. All they say with Adam Driver is his name is Mills. They're not giving his first name. If they go the way I think they're going to go, I think we may have one of the major plot points from our script in this movie.
Okay.
And I'm not going to
Sure.
say any more. Watch the trailer and you will know exactly what I'm talking about.
You sure you
Eh?
It's a sci-fi story. This 65.
Oh, yeah.
you sure you haven't leaked our script anywhere, mate?
Well, that's another thought I had. If this does go the way I think it's going, we're suing someone.
He sold it, and now he's saying, "Oh, by the way, this
Yeah.
film here."
Yeah.
was this a script you attempted to sell before?
We never got that far, did we? We
It
got
was
the
more of a
script,
it was a more of a passion script that we wrote because
Yeah.
we wanted to
Okay,
make
but it was never
sci-fi
shown to
film.
anybody.
It's never been shown to
Okay.
anybody. I think as far as we got as far as discussing potentially doing it as a graphic novel, didn't we? And then we had
Yeah.
When I first
with the artists.
When I first met these two, Amber, do you remember our conversation last night?
Yeah.
Yeah, with Randy, where he's saying he'd rather go down the graphic novel route to get his stories told.
Yeah.
I first met Liz and Tayters when through, you know, people we like mutual. I won't call them friends. Yeah, let's call them friends for want of a better word. Met through mutual friends, and they had this script called The Creator. And it was this massive sci-fi romp that was
epic.
We're talking about making little films, little horror thrillers for like 20 quid. And then I get a script called The Creator. It's 28 quid. And it's off there, it's time travel, it's everywhere. But I did say to them, graphic novel, come on, guys.
Yeah.
I was saying to Randy last night, where I have been trying my hardest to try and find an artist that wants to collaborate and trusts you. I get the thing where, you know, you say to an artist, "Oh, do you want to help me public? You know, I've got a story. Do you want to draw it?" And he's got to put a lot more hours in to draw it. Don't get me wrong; you've got to put the hours in to write the story. But I would say I will give the artist that much, that they've got to do a lot more hours to draw it. But anyway, that's where we kind of connected, us three. I don't know why we rambled on. I don't know why we went.
I was saying there's likenesses in this, just in the trailer to The Creator. Watch the trailer, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You'll get it.
Oh, you reckon it's no money? It's going to come out this year.
I think it's well. I mean, you two haven't even heard of it. I think it's going to come out of the blue, and it's. I think it's going to do something.
My predictions for this year.
Go on.
So, I think Tom Cruise is going to do it again. Mission Impossible 7 is going to be the biggest hit, blockbuster-wise, in terms of money. In terms of what I'm personally looking forward to, is John Wick 4.
Oh, John Wick 4. Oh yeah, absolutely.
John Wick 4. I'm personally looking forward to that film because each time I know what it is. And at the end of the day, the whole plot's happened because his dog died. But I don't care. I don't care. I love it. You just get the world they created with the Continental and the world they've created around that. Love it. It's immersive. I love it to pieces. In terms of TV, though, so we haven't mentioned TV yet. The one thing I'm looking forward to this year is the fall of the House of Usher.
Yeah.
Mike Flanagan's doing it. The one that done Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor and all that. He's doing.
Oh, that could be really good.
Yeah, he's doing that. He's cast Mark Hamill in it as well. Which, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
I reread that. I reread that recently.
Yeah, I've got the book.
I was thinking, well, I've got when I went to Baltimore for the comic convention, and it was Edgar Allan Poe. The house, they've got the museum there and all that in Baltimore. The completed works, the books about that thick.
Nice.
Did read, and it's only a short story. It's 7 or 8 pages, The Fall of the Usher. But I thought, I'm looking forward to that, because if anyone can do it, he will, because he's got to really fucking expand it. So you're gonna all these, you can have new characters. House of Usher, there's 2 people in it.
Well, he's basically said that he's adapting the works of Edgar Allan Poe. So it's titled The Fall of the House of Usher, but it won't just be The Fall of the House of Usher. There'll be other classic Edgar Allan Poe stories in there as well.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's really brilliant.
Yeah.
Like the rumours and all that. There are a few things that connect, but a bit of a cop out. But no, Mike Flanagan got.
It'll be interesting to see him doing somebody else's work, because everything that he's done, I think, up until now has been his own, right?
No, they're all based on books.
What they are? Midnight Masses?
Midnight Mass, I believe, is the only one that's not. Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor were both based off books.
Oh,
I'm
out of the loop.
I thought that was.
It just. They felt so, because I've seen both of those, and I've got things on my list of other films of his that I want to see, but the 2 of those felt like I knew this is the same writer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's writing the script.
He's
adapting. Yeah,
he's adapting it from books that he's read and stuff like that. But no, he is in charge of the script, and he's
Okay.
but what I like about him is that he's reinvigorated for me. Like if you look at horror films, there's not much out there, but he's invigorated horror, but in a TV show, and I love it to pieces.
Yeah, gothic horror.
Yeah, I love
They're
it.
remaking Scream, aren't they? Or they've done it. It's coming out.
Are they really?
Yeah, that's coming out. Oh, it's got General Ortega in it though.
That's the only thing that makes me want to watch it.
I said exactly the same thing.
To be fair. But I probably won't. I'll just wait till it comes out on my little pirate little fire stick.
Is there any other TV shows anyone else is looking forward to this year?
I haven't.
The only thing I had been like looking forward to was Willow and Rings of Power, and then we all know how that turned out.
I'm not looking forward to anything from this point forward. Yeah,
you must be the most miserable person in Arizona then.
What about you, Amber? What you got pegged for 2023 as a good movie?
Yeah, come
on.
Well,
I think I already said the one was Dune, definitely. I mean, so a lot of the things that were on the list that you were looking at were the superhero remakes, or not remakes, but continuation of the franchise. And I really do think that they're going down. I think that it's saturated the market, and everything is just, it feels fast food to even the fans now. So I think John Wick will do really well because people still love it. 1, 2, and 3 were all hits. And I think 4, I'm hoping that they wrap it up though. I don't think this should be a series that goes on forever. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I said exactly.
Well, originally with John Wick 4, it was supposed to be shot before COVID, and they was going to do 4 and 5 and wrap it up. But for some reason,
I can appreciate that.
But for some reason, they didn't shoot 5, so I don't know whether they thought, fuck that off and let's just do 4 and finish it, or they're going to see how 4 pans out and then finish it with 5. But looking at the trailer, it does look like it's getting wrapped up in this one, which I love.
Yeah, that was the impression I got, was that it looks like it's coming to an end. So
I think he'll do Berserker next.
Berserker,
yeah. He's written a graphic novel, Keanu Reeves, and it went down very, very, very well. But when you read it, all it is the screenplay it's the pitch.
Yeah,
the pitch for a movie.
Well, it was discussed, wasn't it? And I think I think they're in talks with, I can't remember the studio now.
He hasn't been blatant. He hasn't been blatant, but never denied it. That it's kind of like he's written this comic book story about an ancient warrior that and the blah blah blah, and he's in the modern day, and the special forces are using him, and he can't be harmed, and etc.
Did I hear that they're doing another Constantine?
I've heard rumours of that
as well, didn't he? That was something that he wanted for a long time, and I hope they do.
I really liked the first one.
Yes, me too. Yeah,
I thought it was pretty unique. I enjoyed it a lot. Good. So
yeah. You disagreeing, Hulk?
Fuck yeah, I am.
Even the CW TV show they did, Constantine. I thought that was really good.
When you've read the source material that they...
this was one of those?
Yeah, I'm
sorry.
How they distilled it down and give it to Keanu Reeves. Like, I love him. I love the guy. But he's no Constantine, how he should be. He should be a...
He's not that great of an actor, in my opinion, but I think he's a very likable person. People like seeing him on the screen.
See, the TV show was more of the source material.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it still sucked, but
I enjoyed it.
Oh, talking of TV series, just quickly, have you seen about old what's his name? Green Arrow, Amel?
No.
Stephen?
Yeah, what's he doing?
What's he done?
He's in the last series of The Flash.
Oh, right.
Green Arrow. And he said, I just, he just went, I can't believe it, but they wanted me back for the last series of and I think they're finishing off all the CW shit.
Yeah, they are.
With the final series of The Flash. But Amel is back. But do you know what? Just quickly, I think that man nailed it.
Yeah.
For a character. I think he was invested in that character from day one. And it showed through all the series. I mean, I did drop off. I did love the Green Arrow and the Flash series.
Yeah.
The first 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I'm guilty. I did drift away.
I stuck with Green Arrow all the way through. All the way through.
Anyway, he's down for, and he said he's quoted as saying, "I said yes immediately. They wanted me for the last series of The Flash," and I think that kind of brings everything to an end anyway.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to be there. But God knows why they didn't want to use him in the cinematic universe. I just don't get it. You know, like when they want to bring, and I do get it from a business point of view, where they want to bring the first, what's his name back, Beetlejuice back as Batman.
Yeah, Michael Keaton. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you. But why not have a little insert? If you're going to have an insert of him as Batman, why not have an insert as Amel as Green? Because that's going to cheer up a lot of fans, because it done well, I think.
He done really well. He done really well.
It comes back to the business decisions that these people are making. Like, where is the editor that is going to say, this doesn't work, that did work, or this has worked before, or someone's done a book of that, or someone's done a story of that, or we need to make this work, or no, take that out. And I'm, obviously I'm talking to you now, Amber, where there doesn't seem to be that layer of anyone above, like sitting above the decisions that get made. It just seems to be sporadic. Like, you go over there and you do that, and they think they're doing it all joined together, but they're not. It's so.
Well, the example that you just gave, hiring a different actor for the movie when the series was decently successful, I think that has to do, again, with money. I think that they knew, okay, no matter what, the people who love the show are probably going to see the movie, even if we change the actors. They're going to come and see the movie. And if we bring in a different star, somebody who is going to pull in a new audience, that's what they're going to want to do. Yeah. Or sometimes just having a certain name in it will guarantee that they get money donated, or not donated, but given to them, invested in the project. So I think it's that. I mean, even though all of us are looking at it going, how could this possibly be successful? How could this be making money when the people who love it, love the material, are going to hate the movie? How is that a wise decision? But I think that they're thinking this is going to draw in more people or more money in the investment before it's released.
And I still say that's a disconnect.
It is a disconnect. It really is. Because I think if something is successful with the fans, they become more obsessive. I mean, it's like a guaranteed audience for the next one,
It's like the Rings of Power thing. Like, they've spent $1 billion, or invested potentially $1 billion. But they go, oh, what books?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this little pamphlet. So basically, they bought this pamphlet, but what have they done with any of these characters? Oh, a couple of films, 3 films. Yeah. How well did they do?
Yeah.
Anyway, scrap that. Just love that. We want some racially diverse hobbits singing songs. Anyway, I'm not going to go there. Do you know what? I'm not going to. It's too late for me to go there. But what I don't get is that they just throw it all away. They just go, nah. It's a bit like when they've done the first Harry Potter film. Now, I'm not the biggest fan. But it's a bit like getting that first Harry Potter book and going, you're reading through it and you go, oh, it's all right, but...
yeah.
Right. Want a black lesbian girl to be Harriet Potter.
Yeah.
That's literally what they're doing now. I know I'm kind of exaggerating it, but that's literally, they're not, but the audience, like Halo.
Oh, I did.
One of the most massive, I'm not a gamer, but one of the most, listen, we can all agree that it was one of the most massive hits of a game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ever.
I think I got 2 minutes into that first episode and turned it off.
Fuck me. And they say, let's show this. Look what they did with it. And you think, what? So you've got a global audience of a good few 100 million that have bought the game, because that's why you've just spent so much money on the rights to do the series or the film. So you think, right, and you sit down, what have we got to get right here, guys? you get your team around the table, guys. Tell me, right? I've just written a check for a gazillion quid. Now, what have we got to do to make it work, guys? And they go, we've got to show his arse. And we've got to show his face, and we've got to do some really bad CGI. And we've got to do him having black flips, and it don't make sense.
No,
You know what proved that wrong is Mandalorian, the first season of Mandalorian.
Yes. Yeah. Good show.
Yeah.
I marked that, Amber, I marked that 7 out of 10. When I did mark things, that was the last thing I marked because Tayters really went to town on me. He really went to town. I marked his 7 out of 10. He went, what?
Yeah.
Do you remember this, Liz?
Yeah.
Oh no, what happened? You guys didn't like it?
No, but I thought I was being...
No, I love it.
I didn't
You're
dislike
an
it.
idiot.
I just went...
So when it comes to so Amber, when it comes to Mandalorian, Tayters loves it. Hog isn't fussed. I love it, but I can see issues with it.
I'm in the same boat as you, Lizard, because that is a show that I think I understand why it's a success with the people who love it, but it's not my pacing. It's not my kind of story. So I have, for me, I was like, it's too slow. It's, I would prefer my character to have some growth and, I don't know.
Yeah.
There was things that were lacking in it for me, but
my
it
issue
did what it was supposed to do. Go ahead.
Exactly. My issue with Mandalorian was it's set out like a computer game. So we got the A to B. We got A to B, but on the way we're going to do this little side quest. It's like an open world video game, where you need to go to that point to start your next mission, but you go for a little wander, and you go, oh, there's a little side quest over here, and here's a little side quest over there, and then we'll get to that point when I'm ready, when I can be bothered, when I've got a couple of extra hours. That's the only. It's literally a season of side quests before you get to what actually matters. But despite that, there was enough in it where I actually enjoyed it. So that's what I've been trying to say to Hog, but Hog still hasn't got through it all.
No, it's offensive. It's not as offensive as Kenobi or Book of Boba Fett. See, I love them for their insane, but Mandalorian just was so. There was other stuff around at the time. Was that pre-pandemic? Mandalorian.
Yes. Yeah.
So there would have been Better Call Saul and Stranger Things and a load of other stuff that would have attracted my attention. And I think, should I watch another episode of Mandalorian where nothing happens?
Yeah.
Like nothing.
I agree. Yeah.
Nothing happens. Something's going to happen at the end of it. We're going to see Luke Skywalker at the end of this series. Oh, fucking hell. We're going to go through 8 hours. We're going to see we're going to see Yoda, but not. We're going to see him even smaller.
But it felt like it was a continuation of something that had a huge fan base, and it wasn't as fast-paced as Star Wars, but people really love the Mandalorian character and Boba Fett, and they wanted to see these. I think Boba Fett was just an attempt to a money grab, but the Mandalorian, though, you can tell that the guy who wrote it was really trying to recapture the feel of Star Wars, or at least the feel of the world of Star Wars, and that I think is what people really appreciated. I know that there's my brother-in-law keeps me up to date on all these things. I don't follow the Star Wars as much because after Ewan McGregor's Kenobi show, I got through episode 1. I said no more. I love Ewan McGregor, and I just couldn't. But he's really excited about Ahsoka. I don't know who this character is. I know kind of who she is, but he's like, I really hope they do it. He wants it to be good, and everybody I know loves this character. So if they do not honor this character and recapture that feeling of this character, then it'll be the end of the Star Wars continuation franchise. I really think it will be. Yes. But if they do it, it'll be a revival.
You could have said that about Boba Fett, and they don't care. Exactly.
Yeah.
Amber, exactly what you just said there. You should have and could have said that about Boba Fett, and even more importantly, Kenobi. Even my
this is
son
true.
and Lizard were the ones that were saying, "I'm looking forward to this." And it's a major character. The whole thing pivots around that character. And what did
Kenobi? I must say, Kenobi hurt me the most. I was hurt by that.
I agree.
They bent everyone over. No lube. And they went, you've got 6 or 7 goes now. I'm going to give it to you.
It's Kathleen Kennedy. It's Kathleen Kennedy again, stepping in, doing her thing, and
we all
interfering.
Goes after Indy 5.
Yes, I know.
After Indiana Jones 5.
Can't wait for it to go, and hopefully that's the last one of those as well.
Because I think she's infecting. I think she does infect it, and I'm not getting into all the conspiracy theories that all the YouTubers have and all the rest of it. I am inclined to believe them, but just putting it to one side, you can't help but feel, well, the test will be when she goes. If she goes after Indy 5,
and things get better.
Yeah,
we'll know.
Leaks now about our Favreau and Kathleen Kennedy, and I think it was over Boba Fett, wasn't it?
Yeah, probably.
But this is the thing.
To do Mandalorian 3.
But I had a discussion with you about that the other week. So I watched the gallery, the behind the scenes of Boba Fett, and Favreau in that gallery. They must have filmed that as they were filming the show. Is taking all the credit. He's saying, I came up with this, I did that, and we really wanted to show this about Boba Fett, etc., etc. And he's the one that went to Kathleen about doing a Boba Fett show, and he wrote every episode. Then it goes shit. Then he comes out and starts saying, "Oh well, I was having arguments with Kathleen Kennedy all the time."
It could be
that took full credit.
It could be that he was that before, or it was during the filming, or the start near the beginning of the filming. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay, because so
I thought this is off before he started filming. He went to Mexico to do Mandalorian, and they had to save Boba Fett by putting a couple of Mandalorian episodes into it.
Yeah,
save it. This is the rumor mill.
Okay,
it does make sense because it's so random that everyone agrees that a couple of episodes of Book of Boba Fett
were really good, and the rest were crap.
Mandalorian episodes.
That was
It does make sense, but like I say, we'll only know when she goes.
Yes.
And I think the quality of those shows will go up because I think Filoni makes content for children. If Favreau is allowed to work with Filoni, the two of them, no, I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Just saying that.
No, I caught your meaning. He's very good at what he does.
Yeah, and it's really to the George Lucas end.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that storytelling. It's good. It's pure. It does what it needs to do.
Let's move on. Anyone who was anticipating the Boba Fett series wanted to see that geezer give it large. They didn't want to see the Filoni end and the Lucas end. We wanted to see Boba Fett be a bastard or something with a bit of grit. A 16 plus like Willow.
Yeah. Like I said before, the good thing we got with Book of Boba Fett is we now have a low bar that we can't go lower than. So
well, I don't know. Don't doubt them, mate. They can go lower. They can go lower.
I didn't think that Willow, the show, was even possible. I didn't think that it could ever get like this. My scale for grading has just like gone even further down the hole than I didn't know it existed that low.
When I jumped onto your the Right Advice channel, Amber, and it was episode 5 or 6, and obviously you go back, didn't you? And then you've done a video about what you're expecting from the series. You and Randy.
Yeah,
I was looking at. And I didn't comment because I thought it would sound patronising. I said, but I was looking at you two thinking, oh,
so much hope.
Yeah, they haven't been ruined yet.
I've had other things that have been ruined for me before, but the thing is this: when I saw the trailer, I knew this is going to be bad. But we made that video saying, let's just do here's what we would like to see, because this is what a Willow series should do, please. But we knew that it's not going to do this.
See, that's
So
what
let's-
Mike's doing. Liz will say, right, they should do this, don't you? You go, oh yeah, they should do this. And I'm going to him, I'm not going to do that. And he goes, yeah, they should do. Right, so the first series was shit, but the second series, they should do it. I'm still going. They're there.
Just a question to put out there, Amber.
Uh-huh.
Out of Rings of Power, Willow, and She-Hulk, which rates the lowest? Which has broken the low bar?
Sorry, I had my camera that freaks out once in a while. So I would say, I think, actually, you know what? I'm gonna say I would normally say Willow was the all-time low, like, because She-Hulk was trash, but it didn't try to be something that it wasn't. The Lord of the Rings was trash, but it didn't try to be something that it wasn't. Willow, I don't know what they were thinking. It's so bizarre to me that it not only does it as a sequel series not make sense, it doesn't make sense as an individual entity either. It's so bizarre. It's beyond, I cannot think who approved this. What mature adult looked at this and said, yeah, this is good. This will work. Yeah, so I was going to say something about Rings of Power, but yeah, I think Rings of Power, that's a level of stupidity as well. That's an entirely different discussion. I mean, they have to know that the reason the first 3 films were so good, I'm not talking about The Hobbit, because everyone kind of agrees The Hobbits were not nearly as good as The Lord of the Rings, and we all know why. How could they not say that we better get it right? And what made the first films right? The $1 billion, you took $1 billion risk. I don't get it.
Yeah.
So
No, I don't think anyone can understand except those people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
the one thing I can say about Rings of Power is the characters were at least consistently uninteresting or offensive.
It's like in Willow.
They are.
It's like in Willow where she slaps Kit round the face. I thought, yeah.
Do you see my video? I replayed that slap like 3 times. It's like, yes, slap.
No,
I was going to say a bad word, but
gratuitous. I didn't like that. That's very good.
Well, I wanted to mention something in here because we're all talking about, why does this happen? How do they make this decision and stuff? And there's another podcast that I've done before, and they interviewed a writer who gave me some insight into the way that the publishing houses are working now. And I can only imagine that Hollywood is even worse. And that is, you can come up to them with a great script and say, this is gold. Like, it really is good. And they'll say, yes, we like it. Thank you for that. Sign your contract. Goodbye. And then they hand it over to the sensitivity readers who have things that they have to put certain things in there. And they'll have to make changes. They'll have to change characters and insert things. And that is why when it comes out, we go, why was that there? Why did this not make sense? Because they've changed things, but it's not the original creator. It's not the person who had the vision and knows the story inside and out. It is somebody from the outside who's saying, I have my own stories and things or whatever, and I have to make sure that this includes some of that.
But at what point do they realize that's not working? How many shit things do we have to see come out?
I think when other studios start producing things independently that don't do this, and they have enough money to do it properly, I think that like I look at Maverick and I go, that was such a huge hit and they did a really good job. Why aren't all the studios doing this now? Well, remember that only came out a year ago. Yeah. So it takes about 2 movies to produce and then post-produce a film. And we're talking about now, let's also include the writing process. That's like 3 years. So you've got another 2 years of crap ahead of you before we start seeing good stuff coming out. So I think Maverick will have had an effect. Yeah. But
I think Mission Impossible 7 will have the same effect as well.
Probably. I think that the studios that are dedicated to doing this are going to eventually lose out to studios that say, all right, we want to make money and we're going to make more money if we do it right. So that's what we're going to do. And then they get rid of this, it's not a group project when it comes to writing. It has to be something very refined, and it can be a bunch of people working on it, but one person is in charge and they know it inside and out so that it's cohesive, so that everything makes sense, and that we know that the fans are going to enjoy it, So that's, I think they're going to lose the bigger studios that are sticking with, having an agenda are going to lose out to the ones that don't do that anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
okay. That kind of fits with your 5-year prediction, Hog, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You'd say that.
What was your 5-year prediction? I didn't hear.
5-year prediction was this stuff. It takes a while in any corporation for the real results of your business, because I've been in business for myself for so long. I do know that at a certain level, it takes time for the bad news to hit you. And in my sphere of business, which isn't corporations, it might take a month, but you're hearing about it second out. We had a bad month, like you're in February, but someone's telling you, like giving you a little bit of paper that's saying, we had a bad month last month. You go, what the fuck went wrong there? Right. But with corporations, there are all these departments, and at the top floor, and it is dismal, and at the top floor, and at Warner Brothers, and even at Amazon didn't just announce 18,000 layoffs this week globally.
Yeah.
No reason at all. And they blamed it on their retail outlets.
On their what?
On their retail outlets, their little shops. They've got little shops around where you can go.
They shut down a bunch of those. I do remember that.
Yes. And they're still doing it, and also laying off 18,000 people because their profit is going down. Oh, I wonder if it's anything to do with the 1 billion. It's not just that, but so it's getting to the top floors now, and I think Zaslav is a tiny bit ahead of the curve with Warner Brothers, where, like I said early on, where he's going, no. At least he's seen James Gunn. I'm not a fan, but at least he's seen James Gunn deliver a Suicide Squad film that earned money.
Yeah,
and he's done the Peacemaker TV series that has obviously been popular. So at least he's making a decent decision to give this guy, like when the showrunners of Rings of Power were given the show for no reason at all. They've done fuck all. They've done an episode of Rick and Morty, or they worked with Jar Jar Abrams once on the shittiest Star Trek film. So how do you arrive at the decision that you give them a $1 billion?
Nepotism. Somebody's sleeping with somebody or something.
Yeah. Well, that's why old fucking Ezra Miller is still. I think that guy has got stories.
Yeah, call it stories. Yeah.
Why is he still there? He's getting arrested. He's being banged up. He's kidnapping people. He's doing this and doing that. I know he's all right. We'll still have him in the Flash, and we'll still get him. Hello.
Isn't he like non-binary or something like that? Or I don't remember. I think they know that they can't fire him because then they'll get backlash from the LGBTQ community.
Probably.
So
no, I think they'll get. It's an expose. It's a bit like Prince Harry book that they're. I think.
Oh God.
Best thing to do with Ezra Miller is get him recast him as Weasel.
He's been smoking pipe.
Recast him as Weasel, do a Weasel solo movie, done. Best thing they could do.
Well,
so is there anything else in 2023 we're looking forward to?
TV wise, I think we've covered films.
There's loads of films. There's loads of films.
The last Avatar: The Last Airbender live action. And it's going to be trash, but I'm hoping it'll be good.
Are they still doing that?
Yeah, it's totally still going.
Wow. So this
it's top secret though, super top secret.
Oh, I didn't even know.
That'd be interesting.
See, I like The Last Airbender. I like the original cartoon run.
Yeah, me too. I love it.
Yeah. So
And
the
it's
film
got
was
potential.
okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying the film was okay. I did enjoy the movie. Was it great? No, I still think the cartoons were definitely better. But
I felt the movie was too much crammed together. They had to move the plot so quickly that it just felt terrible. I'm not convinced the actors were terrible. I'm convinced that the what else could they possibly do?
Yeah, they have a lot to work with.
Yeah, but the series is so well written. The animated series, it's so good. It is such a great complete story. It's not perfect, but it is one of the top for kids out there, I think, ever. And it's much deeper than people give it credit for.
Yes.
But if you get like who are the guys who did Game of Thrones? Those two, Benny Hoff and what's his face? They did a pretty good job adapting the first few seasons of Game of Thrones. And then when the reins were handed to them, it all went to hell, right? Like, oh, there's no more books beyond this point. Don't worry, we got it. But they did a good job of adapting something that was originally good. So my hope is that that's what happens here, is that they took something that is good and they decided, we're just going to adapt it. We're going to just put it on screen. I mean, but it's going to be garbage because
is it still M. Night Shyamalan?
No,
not
at all.
Okay.
I don't know who's involved, but I know that the two show creators. So the show creators, I think that the quality of their work is going down because I've watched some of the other shows. Like I've watched Korra and I've watched The Dragon Prince, and it's just not, the caliber's not there anymore. But I think that they did a really good job with the first thing, and as long as their material is in good hands that want to adapt it well. And I heard all the kids who were in the show, they loved it. Like the actors for the live action. Why did I bring up the Game of Thrones guys? I can't remember. You were asking who was involved. Oh yeah. Yes. Because the original creators of the of the cartoon stepped out. They're like, this is their project now. We don't want to have anything to do with it. We're out. So because the quality of their work has gone down and they've decided to step back, they don't want to do this anymore. It kind of made me go, maybe this is a good thing that they're not involved in it. Maybe it's a good thing that they've said, we don't want to be part of it anymore. But I mean, I'm also looking on the bright side.
I get you. I mean, the one movie coming out that sort of got me where I'm thinking, why, is The Exorcist.
There's an Exorcist movie coming out?
They're doing a sequel.
Reboot.
50 years later. 73 was the original Exorcist movie. This one's coming out this year.
Is it a sequel or a remake?
It's a sequel. No, it's a sequel.
Who's in it?
What is the point?
It's what the heck? That's so weird.
There's also a Saw 10 coming out this year as well.
That don't surprise me. There's probably a Sharknado 18 coming out as well. But,
yeah, those Saw movies, though, they're exactly like the Fast and Furious movies. They know that they've got dedicated fans who will come and see every movie, and that's what these are made for.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
When I saw The Exorcist, and it was just, oh, it's a reboot, and then I read it's like, what? A sequel? How? It's 50 years later. Nobody gives a shit anymore. And that Renfield, that looks funny. That Renfield, the trailer.
I thought that looked funny. Yeah.
It looked funny.
I thought that looked really good.
Yeah.
I thought that looked, that'll go under the radar.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm hoping that who's writing the comedy in that, because I thought that there was some zombie movie, because I'm not really into zombies or vampires really, but if it's good, I'll watch it. And I thought that one about it was like a zombie becomes sentient and he starts falling in love with a girl, but he's a zombie. I thought this could be funny, and it wasn't funny at all.
Was that iZombie? That was CW or something. The series.
It was weird, but I thought it was going to be hilarious, and it kind of gave me the same vibe. Maybe because it's vampires, and I sort of put vampires, werewolves, and zombies in the same wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought that this was I saw it and I was like, that looks great, but I had this sour feeling like it's going to be a disappointment. It's not really going to be funny. Just the trailer was funny. Does that make sense?
Modernize. I think when they make a concerted effort to modernize it, whether it's zombies, vampires, whatever, most of them are quite gothic in nature. And do you know what? That's where Wednesday never lost sight.
Yep.
the conceits that make this silly stuff work.
Yeah.
But just with her. So they had the madness around it, but then put her in the Nevermore Academy where it was more weirdos on top. So it's everyone that's other. And it boils back down to the whole goth. I was a goth before goth was a word.
Yeah.
And it was because you was a weirdo at school. You was a kid that got beaten up or bullied or whatever it was.
Not just at school, mate.
Don't cry. Don't cry. Mate. Still get bullied. It's my fault for getting married, but never did it. We don't go there. But no, so they put her in the Nevermore Academy, and blah blah. But they never. I think they were just all talented enough, and with Tim Burton involved, come on.
I was gonna say, I think Tim Burton, he's the reason it was good.
Yeah,
because he's an old school storyteller.
Definitely.
And they tell the stories, and there was so much heart to it. As ridiculous as the family was, as ridiculous as mum and dad and the brother, even her
Thing.
Yes, no, the hand, but no. What's her brother's name? You had Uncle Fester.
No, wait, it's not.
I can't remember his name.
Anyway, but
Pugsley.
Yes, it. Even that resonated, didn't it? Within we were saying about Willow that they could have had things resonate. Suddenly, the brother turns up in one of the later episodes, but you haven't seen him.
Yeah.
For ages. But she's got that kind of that familial, that sibling rivalry, but she's mellowed, she's melted, and she admits in her own way that she loves her brother, kind of thing.
Yeah.
That one, but these are all the things that give it heart. It's just another fact that in Tim Burton's hands, who's so experienced, and obviously the team, the Avengers he's assembled around him, that all know, and I do believe that Tim Burton is one of those creators that he's got a team around him that if he's making a bit of if he's going too,
they'll pull him up. Yeah, they'll pull him up and correct him.
Tap him on the shoulder and go, Tim, mate,
let's get back on track, mate. Yeah,
that's shit. He'll go, and another one like that is Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah,
he's another one where he's got these visionaries, but they are, they accept that they've got a team around them. They're humble enough to know that everyone loves their madness, but every now and again they're going to just do a wrong one, and someone's going to say, stop it. These other pricks doing this other stuff, they haven't got that filter. They're just going to say, you're marvellous, everything you're doing is great. Just do what you've done before, and then you've got these people going, well, they're looking at each other going, we've done nothing before. But you've got someone going, just do what you normally do, and they're going, but we haven't done anything.
We haven't done anything yet.
What's her name again? Galadriel?
Here we go. We're off.
Galadriel. Galadriel.
Here we go. Come on.
No, you started me. No, I started myself. I think.
Yes, you did.
But we haven't given each other one hit before we go. Let's wrap it up. Not the Mission Impossibles and all that. The one hit that we think, I'm going to start it off with my one, that is going to be a hit.
Go on.
Mega hit.
Go on.
Mario Brothers.
No.
Really?
No. No.
If you Sonic the Hedgehog 2, have you seen both those films?
Yes.
Everyone?
Yes.
Right. They're great films that nail it. Enough said. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It's like Kung Fu Panda. You don't go and watch that for anything else other than Jack Black being silly. Sonic the Hedgehog.
But even Chris Pratt doing the little Italian accent. It's just like,
I'm not even trying to do the accent. It's a good thing.
It's no. I think you're wrong on that one.
That's a
I
hit.
think you're wrong on that one.
No,
For me, okay, quick random one off the side. Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I think that's going to do well.
Well, of course that one's going to do
That's
well. The
gonna
first
do
one
well.
was fantastic and everybody
Yes.
loved it. And now their
Thank you.
faith is restored. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
See, you got the right guest on this week.
They did. Oh, thank you. Nicolas Cage though, as Spider-Man Noir, did they?
No, he's not in it. And I don't think we get Peter Porker back either. But
Spider Pig.
That's it.
Spider Pig does whatever a Spider Pig does. Can he? No, no, he can't. He's a pig. Anyway, so right, so I've said Mario. You said Spider-Man.
Probably. Yeah.
Wizard.
I'm going to go TV wise. I'm going to go Fall of House of Usher because film wise, it's going to be John Wick or Mission Impossible 7.
Right, predictable. But you're saying that's going to be
Beyond that.
Yeah. Fall of House of Usher TV wise, but John Wick for me. If I was to choose between that and Mission Impossible 7.
Right, so Amber gets the last word. A special guest.
Tom and Amber.
Thank you ever so much. Thank you ever so
I
much.
didn't know I had to come prepared with a TV series. Like I seriously can't think of one.
Stick movies then. Stick movies.
TV or
Another
film?
movie.
What you
Well, I think I gave mine. I
Outside.
thought I mean I think Dune is like obvious. I think it's going to be bigger than the first one was.
Yeah, definitely.
Which usually a sequel is not bigger than or even a part 2 usually does less. It's less successful than a part 1, but I think Dune part 2 is going to blow up the theaters.
we got Aquaman coming sequel. We got
Yeah, I know.
Wonka. We got Wonka coming.
What? There's a Wonka movie coming?
Yeah.
Who's going to be Wonka this time?
I ain't got a clue. I don't. Hang on. Let's have a
could've
quick.
said something really dirty.
Who it is.
If you weren't here on this hogCAST, I would have done something really disgustingly dirty then. We don't go there. Now we've got guests and we're going global. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to be a better man.
Now I really need to know what it is.
Timothy Chalamet.
Rhymes with Wonka. And that's all I'm going to say. No, Amber, don't make me go there. I just said I'm not going there.
Timothy Chalamet is going to be playing Wonka.
Are you kidding me?
Wonka.
Really?
So I think this is a prequel. We got a prequel Wonka.
Oh, that's going to be a flop. That's awful. Sorry. Awful idea. Prequels are usually a bad idea. And this, I can't think of a worse thing to do for Willy Wonka than do a prequel of it.
You said Willy now. It was going so well. We've said Willy. We've said
oh yeah. Oh, and Barbie. We've got Barbie this year. We've got Barbie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was actually my mom's suggestion. She was like, you should just say that you think Barbie's going to be the worst. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not even on the list. It's going to be so bad.
Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle. On my list.
Roy, one of yours, Blue Beetle? No?
It's all arse.
Right, okay. Craven.
No, my worst one is going to be done.
Yeah, Craven actually is an interesting one.
The Hunter. But that's the new James Bond in it. He's a good actor.
Yeah.
Oh, Aaron Taylor Johnson, whatever his name is. It's loads of names.
Oh, I'll tell you one that caught my attention. Creed 3.
Oh.
Why would that catch your attention?
Because it's pretty much Rocky 5, just with different people. If you watch it, if you watch the trailer,
it's Rocky 5. Yeah.
They have taken Rocky 5 and just changed the cast.
Yeah.
It's just like,
used to be so easy editing this fucking thing.
I'm so sick of. Oh, I think I have one. Well, it's not for TV though, but it's the 3 Body Problem is being made into a movie. Now, this is a book series that is it's a science fiction book. Yeah. And it's blowing people's minds. Now, I haven't read it yet, but everything I hear about it is like, this is one of the most bizarre, craziest, but also super interesting alien invasion stories I've ever read. I think it's gonna now, and that is being directed by the Benioff Game of Thrones idiots. If they are good at adaptations, this will be good.
I think it'll be
interesting.
I don't think we've even heard of that, have we?
The 3 Body Problem. It's highly anticipated in the book community. Is
it a biography of Hog?
It's an alien invasion story. That's pretty much all I know about it.
Oh, I can jump on board. Sorted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can feature.
It's an expose of Space Lizard.
Yeah.
I've heard it's got that same like horror vibe. that you know how like Alien, the movie Alien,
Yes.
it's a sci-fi movie, but it's a horror.
Yeah.
Like you're watching a horror.
Yeah.
That is also a sci-fi. So that's kind of the vibe I think people get from this. It's a first contact / invasion horror sci-fi.
Nice.
I'm loving the sound of that already.
I'll look into that.
Yeah, I'm loving the sound of that already.
Yeah, it does sound good, doesn't it? That's a good one. But
and I'm pretty sure it's coming out this year. So
awesome.
We're gonna get another Terminator this year.
I don't think so. We got
Star Where else can the story go?
We got Star Trek 4 coming from his mate up there.
Oh, that's right.
Got another one.
I was really surprised because I thought the third one was a flop. I thought people.
It's like, yeah, we believe that.
Yeah.
Fast food. It has become part of the fast food chains, you know, that we're seeing in the movies now.
They all flop upwards now. Like, if you have a success, they don't want to know. It's like, oh, did you do something shit last year? Yeah. We want you
again. Can we have a prequel?
Oh, God.
Can you do more of that, but worse?
we got Chris Hemsworth. Well, Extraction 2. That's set for this year.
Yeah, see, have we? Is that this year?
That's 2023. Yep.
That I loved that first film.
Yeah, that was a good film.
Extraction. What is that?
Yeah,
Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, no, but what is it?
It's kind of just an actioner.
Yeah.
Okay.
In Southeast Asia, like Singapore way, wasn't it, or Philippines?
Yeah,
okay.
It was awesome film.
Is it like a military action or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very good.
It's all the classic tropes, but done in a really,
really good way.
He's basically going to hostile territory to extract a target and then get them out to safety. But
I figured it was about an extraction.
Yeah. That's funny enough. Funny enough, the title's quite accurate.
Yeah. No subverting expectations.
No,
that
yeah.
On the tin.
Exactly, and that's what I liked about it. It did what it said on the tin, and it did it very, very well.
Okay, I'll check that one out.
Whether I wanted to see a second one, not sure. It's kind
maybe
of
wait till it comes out at home.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a Netflix release. Yeah, it's a Netflix release. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's a prequel.
Yeah.
It's what?
It's a prequel.
No, it's not a prequel.
Listen, on that note, I think we've waffled.
Are we going to call it?
Yeah, I'm calling time. Come on.
It must be late for you guys, right?
It's, what are we? We are 11:30.
Okay, yeah, it's only 4:30. It's 4:30 in the afternoon here, and I'm actually going to go to a film shoot right after this. So
you're 7 hours behind us. Yeah.
Nice.
So anyway, but thank you. Listen, thanks, guys, as usual. Thank you too, and special thanks to.
Definitely. Thanks for coming on, Amber. It's been great.
Thank you guys. I had so much fun. We should do this again.
We normally
definitely 100%.
And there is a couple of other YouTubers as well that I've also said to come on board, so we can get our own little game going.
Yep.
I like it.
Eventually, we're going to look like the Brady Bunch opening, aren't we? With all these windows.
We'll have to make our own opening where we're like looking at each other's windows.
I'm just going to sing the song then.
Wait, so what are your guys' channels? Because I know geekyOlhog, but I don't know your guys' channels. You have your own?
Don't have them.
You don't have them? You're just...
No, we don't.
They
just, all right.
Yeah.
They just come on me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I was gonna say, put it out there. I'll go and I'll bump you on my channel. But yeah, I really had a huge amount of fun. I think that you guys are on the right track. You know, we're looking at some of these films and shows and trying to decide what's wrong with them specifically. And hopefully somebody who makes these decisions in the film studios will come across something like this and realize, yeah, there's problems and these guys have got it. So I don't know.
So, but the main thing is
probably not.
Why us three have been waffling for so long, and what I've enjoyed tonight is that we all love this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming from a place where we want it all to work.
So want it to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We really all do. We all love the stuff. So, but if we continue doing that, I think it must resonate at some point. We're not the only four.
Yeah. Well, that would be a disappointment, wouldn't it?
Oh no. Being paranoid. Oh no. But anyway, we all love the stuff. So on that note, that's been a good one and a different one.
Been
Mhm.
So
fantastic.
I suppose I'll have to send you the edit, Amber, and if you approve it, I'm going to drop card.
I'm okay. You can do whatever you want to do.
No, I'll give you last approval.
Aw,
Not first.
thanks.
I fully advise it. I fully advise it.
Yeah.
All right, then.
All right, night, darlings.
Adios to everyone.
See you all
Adios.
soon. Take care.
Guys.
You
Bonjour.
too. Bye bye.
Bonjour.